There we go. Yo, what's up, everybody? Very unprepared. Very unprepared. Let me get some music on. Let me pull up the chat. Hope you guys enjoyed that Reverie stream. That was real fun, bro. Getting to meet people like Laz. That Laz guy seems really cool, man. And meeting Dak Sake. If you guys are able to pull up all those people's streams and everything, bro, their channels or whatever, go support them, man. They're doing a good thing, bro. Like helping newcomers, you know, get on or whatever. It's great, bro. A lot of funny jokes too, like Hidden Island. Bro, that man Hidden Island, he came through with all the jokes, bro. He was just in his bag. He had me dying. Virgo too. That was really fun. Let me get the chat on stream. God, I'm so behind, bro. What's good, everybody? Who here wasn't watching the Reverie? I highly doubt anyone that's watching the stream right now wasn't watching the Reverie. Pretty sure all y'all just moving over type beat. What's up, Dax? What's good, bro? Dax is in his bag for real. So yeah, I do plan on having like a special little guest with me. A lot of you guys probably know him if you're on my Discord. I won't say his name, but the problem is I think he fell asleep. I think he fell asleep. So if he doesn't respond in 15 minutes, I'm gonna get a different person to join me for a little bit on the channel or on the stream, and we're just gonna kick it and talk for a little bit. And the reason why I don't want to have like multiple people in is because like I want to be able, you guys know me, I would like to read the chat, as many messages as I can and just interact with you guys. So yeah, hopefully he replies, because I'm gonna feel like an asshole if I just like, you know, throw him to the side and grab someone else. But very good stream, and thank you for the super chats. Shout out to Killer Comedy TV, you're good. Yo, appreciate that. I don't think I've even seen you before. Fable 20, congrats on rocking the Reverie. Sorry, I'm a little dyslexic. I've been looking at a fucking screen all day. I was actually supposed to work on a video for tomorrow. Like I told myself, yeah, bro, I'm gonna go to the Reverie. I'm gonna be there all day, have this after party, and then I'm gonna record a video and drop it in the morning. That's not happening. If you guys wanted a video, that's not happening. You're gonna have to wait till, what's tomorrow, Monday? I guess today, Monday. Y'all have to wait till Tuesday, but yeah, I like to do these streams, you know, after Reverie, you know, try to get more people in the community, get to meet you guys more, and be a little bit more personable. Because you guys know when there's like 1,000 people watching the stream and there's all these chat messages and there's like 17 people talking, it's hard to give everyone their fair share of attention. So if y'all have any kind of questions, any kind of theories, bro, I'm here. Let me know if this music's too loud too. It sounds fucking insane. Reverie went hard, so much fun. Yeah, it was good, bro. I got to meet like people that I didn't even know before. Like bunch of new people. I'm gonna be honest, like no lie, like it was literally like it was way more fun than I thought it would be. You have a theory? What's your theory, man? Can you speak on the fourth wall theory? I don't know what that is. Caleb was good, my man. Sounds good. That was my first Reverie. Okay, maybe here, I'll do this. I'll put up a poll for you guys, all right? Let me know via poll, was that your first Reverie? As in, like, was that your guys' first time watching the Reverie? Because I know a lot of people don't even know what the Reverie is, bro. And shout out to Ballistic Banana for holding it down, bro. Please talk about wasted potential of Zoro and Wano, bro. The failure that is Zoro and Wano, it literally like ruins my day every time I think about it. This man Zoro was set up to have like this hatred, right? I gotta put the glasses on because I'm gonna be slandering Oda for this. The hatred that Zoro had for Orochi because of what happened with Shimotsuki Yasui, right? Remember the dude that would always smile, ha ha ha? Bro, he was all happy. And he gets put up on the, wasn't it a literal cross? They put him on a cross, they killed him. Zoro witnesses this, and he's like, yo, fuck Orochi, I'm about to smoke on his pack, right? That was the most pointless shit you could ever do. Like, Zoro, at what point did Zoro actually fight Orochi, stab him, kill him, anything? He did nothing. So, like, that whole Orochi, like, anger he had, that was pretty pointless. You could have just not even put that in the Wano arc, and it would have made the arc better. And then like this is like another issue I had with like Zoro and Wano is the whole medicine thing, right? They were like, oh, the medicine, you're gonna have double the pain, you're barely gonna be able to live. Does anyone here genuinely think that mattered? That was the most pointless like plot device ever. What's up, Axe? How you doing, bro? So with that being said, I could go on further about like why Zoro could have been done so much better. Like he should have visited Ryuma's grave, right? We should have had more on-screen conversations with Zoro and Hitetsu. We should have saw Zoro get the Nidai Kitetsu. Oh my god. Oh, the fumble, the Nidai Kitetsu. What was the point of that? Literally, like, bro, y'all know, you guys know, early on in Wano, this man Luffy literally grabs the fucking Nidai Kitetsu from Hitetsu. Zoro's literally looking at the sword, yo, I need this sword, and then it just never comes back up. What was the point of that? What was the point? But shout out to the people super chatting. We got another one from Cheddar Bog. Appreciate the 5, bro. First Reverie was sick, bro. Good job. And when did you start posting videos? Thank you, man. This is my second Reverie. Just very grateful to go and be in the Reverie. It's a great opportunity again to just meet people, get my name out there or whatever. But it was just also just fun talking about One Piece. I made my channel, I think it was mid or late July of 2021. So it's gonna be 2 years in a few months, and it doesn't feel like it. It feels like I'm still a newbie, bro, because every day I'm growing. Every day I'm trying to learn more about One Piece. I'm trying to learn more about YouTube, how to edit videos, music choice, all the background stuff. I'm still learning. And a lot of people don't know this, but I have like a lot of privated videos, bro. Like I all the time I go back and I look at my videos and I'm like, yo, that one right there, I don't really like it, bro. The thumbnail's ass, the title's bad, I don't really like the theory, I don't want to have to like fix it all up. So then I just private it, and I just it is what it is. So I have a lot of unprivated videos. I try to keep my best ones on, or best ones up. You guys go subscribe to Dax Sake, man. He was in his bag. He was in his bag with the Plutons and mold theory. See, I remember watching that theory video a while back, but I feel like the way he pitched it in this Reverie, it was like, I'm not saying that like his original video was bad, because it wasn't. Apparently I misunderstood it at one point, but he just pitched it so refined, bro. He was naming like a whole bunch of things I don't even remember being stated in the video. Like, it reminds me of like Blackbeard's and Octopus. Just like saying like Pluton's a mole, we had that Blackbeard's an octopus. It literally gives me like the same vibe, bro. He's in chat. You guys should go subscribe. I might have to pick up I might have to pick up the other homie though to get a little co-host on here. You guys might know who this is. I'm gonna hit him up right now. Let me see. Let me message him. You guys might know this man. What's up, Axe? He makes One Piece theories. I've done videos with him, multiple videos. I'm pretty sure. Has it been multiple videos? I think we did like 2 or 3 videos. I don't know. It is the one and only. Hold on, I was setting something up there. I was gonna call him, have him say his fucking name. Hold on. We're gonna have to delay that joke. Okay, someone in the chat right now is leaking who it is, bro. Y'all just gotta be patient, bro. Any more questions though? Do you think Blackbeard is half fishman and half human? Since Jinbei gave blood to Luffy, I assume it's possible to reproduce with fishman and human, so maybe Blackbeard's one of the parents is octopus fishman. See, I understand that. I understand like taking that route, right? Wait, is there no music? Or is it? Okay, I understand the route of taking like I'm so tongue twisted after that long stream. I understand taking the route of Blackbeard having like fishman blood, fishman DNA, right? Hold on, is there actually no music? Or is it too low? I could turn it up. Alright, what was I saying? Here, I'll turn it up. Okay, that might be too high. Yeah, I'll turn it up like right here. Is this better? Is this good right now, or do I need to lower it? What was I saying with the... I totally lost my train of thought. So look, I understand the take with like Blackbeard being like a fishman or octopus man, right? But I think it would be a lot more fitting for Blackbeard to have a fruit that gives him the appearance and gives him the powers of a kraken. Because we know from Marco's statement of Blackbeard having multiple devil fruits, he said like, oh, this is Blackbeard's weird body at work. Like, this is Blackbeard being different, not having the same biology as everyone else, right? So if you eat a devil fruit, we all know that it alters your lineage factor. It literally alters your DNA. That's why someone like Luffy, when he ate the Sun God Nika fruit, he's permanently rubber. Like, he doesn't have to activate the rubber powers or anything. That's just him innately, right? So when you think about Luffy eating the Nika fruit and that made him God of the Sun Nika, I think it would be very fitting for Blackbeard to have a Kraken fruit, God of the Rain. And I know God of the Rain is that's a bit of a different topic from Kraken, but the reason why I believe that Blackbeard is the God of the Rain is because he has multiple attacks in his arsenal that's named after water. Like, what's the point of that? You guys know Kudorozu, where he like puts out his hand and it stops devil fruit abilities or whatever? That's literally called darkness water. And then you're just like looking at like the darkness all on the ground when Blackbeard's using attacks. It literally looks like water waves. And then when you think about it, like logistically, why is his Kudouzu attack, like to nullify fruit powers, why is that doing the same exact thing as what the ocean does in One Piece, or like water or whatever? So I would take the route that Blackbeard is the God of the Rain, hence Kudouzu and all that other stuff, and Luffy would be God of the Sun. And I actually used to believe that Dragon was a God of the Rain, but I kind of altered my stance on that. That was like my first take. Like, I had a video you guys probably saw a while back. I said Luffy was gonna be the Sun God, Dragon Rain God, Green Bull Forest God, Emu Earth God. But I had to change my opinion. Suzo says devil fruit nullification wouldn't make any sense if the fruit wasn't water related. Exactly. And again, knowing that Blackbeard's top nemesis is Luffy, the Sun God, is Blackbeard not being the Rain God like the perfect antithesis? Because like, think about it, bro. Think about it in Pokemon terms, right? Think about it in Pokemon terms. Literally, bro, you have Groudon, the God of the Sun, versus Kyogre, the God of the Rain, bro. Come on, bro. Luffy is basically Kyogre. Oh no, Luffy's basically Groudon, and Blackbeard is Kyogre. What if he was more like the Sea Devil they used to talk about? I think Emu's the Sea Devil. I talked a little bit about that on the Reverie, but maybe you weren't there. So my take on Emu, right? There's a famous quote, I forgot who it was, but the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist, right? Now, look at Emu. The total antithesis of good, the total antithesis of dreams, the total antithesis to freedom. This dude, Emu, is quite literally like the devil of One Piece. He's not supposed to exist. That's why he's hidden in a chamber. And then if you look at Luffy, right? Everyone here, I'm assuming everyone here believes Luffy fights Emu at some point. Why is Luffy a god, right? Or at least having the Nika god fruit, right? Wouldn't it be best? Wouldn't it make more sense if Luffy the Sun God fought the devil? And then earlier on in One Piece, right? Shanks himself, he said that the Sea Devil placed a curse on devil fruits. If there is anybody in the One Piece story to curse devil fruits, who would it be, guys? I want to see the chat answer this. If there is anyone in a One Piece story that put a curse on all devil fruits, who would that be? Emu. So yeah, my take is that Emu is the sea devil of One Piece. If there's any mods, if you can drop the link to that video, Emu's the sea devil, drop it in chat for me, please. Let me call this man, see if he's answering. Yo.
What on? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How's it going?
All right, chat.
How was the reverie?
It was great, bro. You gotta introduce yourself, bro. The one and only.
Yeah, bro. You know what? Oh, you streaming right now?
Yeah. Are you good right now, actually?
No, yeah, I'm good. Yeah. What's going on? What's going on, chat? It's Marshall D. Preach. Man, you know, I just caught the last 30 minutes of the reverie, and man, I'm gonna go back and rewatch it. But yeah, man, it looked like it was a good show.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you being here because, bro, like, you know, a lot of people love your channel. I love your channel. Fucking found you way early on. I don't even remember how we connected. How did that go down?
I think it was either you or me. Someone reached out to each other, and then we did a collab video. I think it was the first one, and that's how we first linked up.
Yeah, bro, this man Preach, a lot of you guys know about him. You were just I remember there was like a 2-month period, bro. I guess I should say you and Oars, but like the channel itself, Marshall the Preach, you guys are just going crazy.
Yeah, bro, I think it was in the summer, yeah, because Wizard of Voice had that one big video. It was the 1 hour One Piece video. What is the One Piece? And then, bro, after that, it was just, we took off from there. But yeah.
Yeah, bro. So hopefully we can spit some shit to the chat right now. Let them know what's up with your channel. Let them know what's up with the theories. I know during the reverie, this is a good question I could ask you. During the reverie, for a lot of you guys watching, you know that they were asking about Katakuri pulling up on Blackbeard, because obviously his sister's Pudding, right? You had just dropped a video on that.
Yeah, I just dropped it, and I think I don't know if BDA made a video on it, but I did see he had a thumbnail that was similar to mine. So I don't know if that was what that video was about. I didn't watch it, but yeah, I did make that theory, and yeah, so I do think Katakuri is going to show up because it's like, you know, Law just took down Big Mom, so there's something there. And then also, like you said, with Pudding, we know Katakuri ride and die for his family, so I think it's a good possibility.
Yes, sir. That actually never even crossed my mind until I saw your video. And like, you ever see like a One Piece theory and you just get the vibe like, oh shit, like this is something that's probably gonna age well. You ever get that vibe?
Yeah. No, for sure, man. Like, there's a few of those, like, because some of them, you know, we make theories and it's so out there, right? But there's some of them where it's like, oh, that really could happen, and that's Oda style too. So I know exactly what you mean.
For sure, bro, for sure. So I'm glad you actually put that video out because I didn't even hear anybody say that until you. 10 from Kaya, appreciate the super chat. Glad I could catch the whole stream in the after show. I'm just glad to have Preach on this after show, man. I don't do streams with other people too often, but I'm glad I could get you on this one, bro.
Nah, man. Yeah, nah, thanks for having me, man.
For sure. So where are you standing with Egghead? Is this something you're feeling? Is this something that feels like a letdown? Like where's your head at?
You know, at first I was really excited. I was really hyped for it. Right after Wano, you know, Wano was so long, so it was good to get a new break from Wano. But I do like the arc. I would say it's like an 8 or 9 for me. I think I like Wano more, but it's probably in the top 3 arcs for the post time skip for me.
Okay. That's damn. Even so, you're essentially just saying like it's so good that you're just instantly gonna put it in your top 3. At least post time skip, right?
Yeah. So I think
sheesh.
It's kind of tough though, because it's like this arc has been just reveals. It's been more lore and stuff. It's like, I don't know. It feels like the story, we're getting so many different things from Blackbeard and outside of the Straw Hats. So it's kind of a weird arc, but yeah, I do like this arc a lot, man. Every chapter has been exciting for me.
For sure. Like, doesn't it feel so? This is also a question to the chat. You guys can say yes or no, but Preach, doesn't it feel surreal to like know we're meeting Vegapunk? We're talking to Vegapunk.
Man, you know, what do you think? Because for me, I really liked Vegapunk. I know some people at first they were kind of iffy on the design, but I think just the way Oda executed it, it's just there was so much hype for it, so much anticipation, and it's like I think he really delivered the best way he could, and I'm surprised he went this way with the devil fruit and stuff, but I think it works. And damn, I love Vegapunk right now. But what about you?
Yeah, for sure, bro. Cause like in my humble opinion, I feel like it's just in Oda's classic fashion to have a goofy looking character, bro. You know, take a look at Professor Clover, right? This was a guy that was literally learning about the Void Century. He figured out the name of the ancient kingdom. He learned about the ancient weapons. Like, bro, Professor Clover was spitting shit, right? And look at his goofy ass design. Look at how silly he looked, bro.
Bro, and it's like Vegapunk is a scientist too. He's not like this hard, you know, badass looking character. So I think it fits with what Oda's trying to do, and it kind of just makes sense. Like his huge head, like I think it just goes perfectly with the whole concept of it.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm assuming you're one of the people that picked up on it. But you know, in Caesar Clown's flashback, he was having that conversation with Vegapunk about blowing up the island, whatever, right? You could see the silhouette of Egghead or of Vegapunk, you know, having this elongated body. I wasn't the only one, I'm sure, throwing around the idea of Vegapunk having this super elongated head, right? So to see that come to fruition, it feels like, not because I was right, because I don't think it's the biggest deal, I don't think it's a big W, but it feels like something like Oda knows what he's doing. He even down to the nitty gritty, like, oh, Vegapunk, the scientist, fucking 1,000 chapters in, I already know what he's gonna look like.
Yeah, no, and you know what, like, you said that, and I'm glad you said that, because for Vegapunk, you know, I think about Usopp too. Like, Usopp, it goes with the character, his long nose, and he lies a lot, you know. Vegapunk, he's smart, so he's gonna have the biggest brain. It's like, I always thought he would have like a Mega Mind kind of shape, you know, but no, like, this is good too, because it's just that theme and that concept of he's the smartest man, so he has to have like literally the biggest brain, man. So that's what Oda likes to do. He likes to play with the concept of the design, and it fits into what the character represents.
100%, bro. Yeah. I'm glad he took that direction. Someone asked me, and then you could kind of like bounce off, because I'm sure you have your own thoughts. Someone in chat asked, they said, bro, did you talk about the Enel returning and your electricity theory during the Reverie? I was spamming in chat, lol. I feel like none of the other YouTubers are I guess you might appreciate that theory. So are you aware of my theory with Enel coming to Egghead?
Yeah, I did watch that one, yeah. I did.
So I guess I'll like just kind of give like a quick little explanation to the people in chat that don't know about it, and then you could just give me your honest thoughts, no hard feelings. Basically, we know that the giant robot on Egghead is a mechanical soldier. That is the exact phrase that Vegapunk used when he addressed it, right? Shaka said that the giant robot on Egghead was powered by the ancient energy source that everyone's basically wondering about. If you think back to Enel's cover story, all those robots on the moon that Enel recruited to his team, all of them were mechanical soldiers. You literally see a guy in a gladiator outfit, a Japanese soldier, Russian soldier, American soldier. They literally had an army. I remember one of the robots on the moon had a gun, and it said like on the bottom of the page, he's entering the battlefield. Like, it's so obvious that those robots on the moon are mechanical soldiers. Now, we know for a fact that those robots on the moon, those guys were off. It wasn't until Enel shocked that long room to power them all up, and the phrase that Oda used for that page to revitalize all the robots on the moon, it said energy resurges into the ancient city. So now you think like, okay, this ancient city on the moon utilized this energy known as electricity. It just fits way too good. That's basically the short explanation of it, but if you have any thoughts, bro, send them my way.
Yeah, no, I definitely, it got me to think a lot more, because, you know, Wizard of Wars, he told me his own theory about it, and like that's why I have my own thoughts on it, and it's like a little bit different, but I don't want to give it away because he's working on the video. But,
yeah.
No, but this theory, I like it because it's, even though I disagree with it because of our own thoughts, it's one of those things where like you could have different theories, but they both can make sense, and like I can see both happening. And as far as NL, I always thought it was like, I just think it's kind of weird because we never really got anything after the cover story. So it's like, is Oda planning to bring him back? Like, we always feel like he will come back, but it's just like we haven't seen him in so long, man. It's been like for like 600 chapters since that cover story. So I just don't know if he's because he hasn't really started to set it up yet.
Yeah.
But I do think if I honestly do think he's going to come back at some point. So but yeah, I like the theory. And you were talking about the robot, right? The
one on Egghead. What's up, Recon?
Oh man, shout out Recon, man. That robot, like when I first saw it, I was thinking, man, like, what do you think about the comparison between Kuma and the robot? Because do you remember Kuma? Now he just launched into the red line, and it got me thinking it's kind of similar to the robot who also went to the red line. So I think there's something there where, how you said, Vegapunk is using that robot to inspire like the Seraphim or something else. And then if Enel comes back, man, it's gonna be crazy, man, because he has like a giant army of those little automatas.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, he could have like his own entire
like his own fleet, bro.
Like, we don't know how strong those are, but man,
so
that could be kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, I really like all your thoughts. And I'm curious to see that video. When you finish it, link me it. I'll watch it. But I really like the point that you made as far as Kuma going to the red line, crashing into the wall. I think it's very evident that's made to mirror how the giant robot on Egghead, the mechanical soldier, crashed into the red line. I think it said 200 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So maybe someone in chat has some ideas that they could spitball. I don't know what to make of that parallel. We know that the pacifistas, or at least Kuma, was made into cyborgs, so that's more on the robotic side, and the giant on Egghead's a robot. I don't really know what to make of that. But just to quickly touch on Enel coming back, I'm just like you, bro. I have always been like, yo, I don't know when Enel's gonna come back. Is he going to come back? Wasn't his whole point, like his whole mission was to go to the moon? Why is he gonna come back? But like crafting that whole electricity is the ancient energy theory, that was the only reason I even thought of Enel coming back into the story. Because just like you, I had like, what would be a good reason besides that? I can't think of something that isn't speculation.
Yeah, it's Enel. He's definitely a really interesting character. It's like he wanted to crash down Skypiea into the earth, and I just feel like with Enel, we never really got his true motivations. I feel like that's one thing that we still need, and Oda didn't really flesh out the entire motivation, why he was wanting to do this, why he had a god complex. It could be that he just is the way he is, but I always feel like there could have been more, and we could have fleshed him out more. See maybe his childhood a little bit, or see how he was raised, and just see where this all comes from, because there's no character like Enel in One Piece.
Yeah, he's definitely one of a kind. And just a little cliff note as far as like Luffy versus Enel goes, there's something I'm sure a lot of people have noticed this, but there's something I noticed with Luffy versus Enel that I just have not gotten over. I cannot remember who said this first, but holy shit, the way someone pitched it, Enel, the man who thinks he's a god, versus Luffy, the god who thinks he's a man. That, bro, you know how many levels? That's literally an onion. You know how many layers there are to that? Like, that just blew my mind, bro. It was amazing, like, when I first heard that.
Yeah, no, and it's the whole thing, right? The rubber versus lightning. It's the whole contrast between them is right there.
100%, bro. Shout out to Sage in chat. What's up? And Denton Kushi, you've been making waves, bro. I've been hearing about you, bro. Shout out to both of you guys. So as far as Kid going out, okay, how about here? I'll have to rewind. How do you feel about Kid, bro?
Oh man, I jumped in right when you guys were just trashing on Kid, man. At the end there, right? But the biggest disappointment for me for Kid was just I wish we could have seen more of his hockey, more of his Conqueror's hockey. I really liked the Kid and Big Mom fight, and I think he got a little bit disrespected as far as his arsenal of attacks, because I like the assign. I like the, what was it called, the punk, the giant, the one where he's like shooting the cannon.
Oh, that was a form, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even remember Kids.
The attack where he's like just spamming that magnet beam.
Railgun. Bro, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even remember his attack names.
I thought the
clown me all
attacks
you
were cool,
want.
but besides from that, it's like, bro, like, I don't know, man. Yeah, like Oda has to do something with Elbaf, because otherwise, if we're comparing him to Law, because we saw Law, Luffy, and Kid standing next to each other since Sabaody, comparing him to Law is just like a complete difference, man. Like Law got so much character. He had so much backstory. He had a personal thing with Doflamingo, with Luffy. He had this whole journey with Luffy. It's like we had so much with Law, and it's like Kid. He was cool in Wano, but I remember seeing Kid and Luffy in the jail cell, and I'm getting hyped up. But then like Kid just, I don't know, man.
He just fell off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, man. Cause like, you know, the thing about Kid, right? From my perspective, I always see people, you could, bro, go on any social media network, you'll see people slander Kid, like day in, day out, right? But why did it take like years for me to see the proper slander, like what JD Legend had to say about Kid? I never saw someone put it that way. He was basically, you probably caught it, but he was basically saying like, if Kid is on an island or on a ship, or maybe not a ship, but if the Kid's in an environment where there's no metal, he's fucked. Especially if he's not awakened at that point, because apparently you need to be awakened to utilize the metal. How did I not catch on to that? It's beyond me. But wow, bro.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying with the hockey feats, right? That's why I want to see more of his Conquerors hockey, his ornament hockey, because, you know, that's a good point. If there's no metal in the area, I don't know what he's going to do. And, oh, man, it's just tough, man. Luffy has one of the best devil fruits. Law has one of the best devil fruits. And just stacking up with those three, it's not even close.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And man, I truly don't know how to gauge Kid in terms of like, you know, oh, was there too much expectations for him? Was he meant to be something huge? I don't know how to gauge that.
We'll say one good thing about Kid that I like is that he's going after Yonko, bro. Like just like Luffy. Luffy came in, he says, I'm going straight after the Yonko's head, bro. And Kid is not afraid. Like Kid went after Big Mom, we don't know if he went after Shanks, but he's fought Shanks, he fought Kaido, and none of them could crush his will. So that's one thing that I will give respect to Kid. That character trait that I really love. But besides that, yeah, it's like we got to see more.
Yeah. It's bone crushing, bro. It's not even heart crushing. It goes way beyond that. It's fucking neuron crushing. Hey, JD Legend, I just sent you a friend request. We could get you in for a few minutes. Because he says he has even more to say.
Man, JD, bro, it's crazy, bro. Because JD, I'm a little bit different from JD and a lot of people in the Reverie, because I love Wano. You know what I'm saying? Like I heard some horrendous takes at the end, man. Like people saying the Scabbards was worse than Polly. It's like, bro, come on, bro.
Here. I made a group chat. If you could hop in real quick.
Yeah.
All right, yo.
What's up?
So just to quickly pick up where we left off. Essentially, Marshall D. Preach doesn't really like the take of Paulie being better than the Scabbards. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, bro. Come on, bro. Like what did Paulie do that was better than fighting on the rooftop against Kaido, bro? Like Denjiro killed Orochi. Like, come on, bro. Like I agree with some of the takes. Like Kid, I agree. He was disappointing, bro. But like the Paulie one was like that. I was like, bro, come on now.
So I think we got to break it down a little bit here, because a lot of people think I say things and I don't think them through, and there are times where I don't.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you said that though, but I just heard it on the at the end.
So I alluded to it. So you didn't misquote me. So let's say that. I would say the difference is that with the Scabbards, we had a lot of build-up and a lot of face time with the Scabbards, where I felt as if we needed to be invested in them. And for the amount of screen time we got, the amount of attention that was shown, the amount of time that were in the flashback, you're thinking, oh, these Scabbards are really gonna move me. I'm gonna feel something for them. And then we got the Mickey Mouse backstories from the Scabbards with Raizo and Kanjuro and Kiku and all of these guys. And granted, you could say, oh, there was a lot of them. Oda doesn't have the time to write. Oh, yeah, that's fine. We get that. With Paulie, it's different. We didn't get an insane amount of screen time. We didn't get a lot of emphasis on their character or their character importance. We barely got any. Most of the time, Paulie was more relevant for the betrayal of Bluno, Khalifa, Kaku, and Lucci. And then seeing Paulie's reaction, Paulie going to the sea train with Sanji, they were excellent side characters. They served their purpose. We didn't need depth from them. We just needed Paulie to throw his rope around a little bit, look cool, and have an attitude, and we were fine with that. But with the Scabbards, we expected more from the Scabbards, all of them, than we did from Paulie. So when I expect more from the Scabbards and all I get is Paulie-esque behavior, I'm gonna take the guy that was actually meant to be Paulie rather than the 10 niggas that were actually ended up being Paulie only. And that's where my issue comes. So the difference is there was like what? I would say 3 to 4 Scabbards that had greater roles than a Paulie role. You had Kinemon, obviously. Denjiro, maybe? Just because of the Orochi moment, maybe?
I think Denjiro was my favorite Scabbard.
And we like Denjiro, because I like Denjiro too. Like, to me, Denjiro was cool because I think it was his moment where he was really, really, really upset with Odin's death. You see his suffering, his pain, his facial structure change, the whole I forgot his name already. Kyoshiro, the whole Kyoshiro storyline.
Yeah.
You felt that. You saw it. You saw that. So I'm like, all right, we got something there. And then you have Nekomamushi and Inawarashi because they're in Zou. Not even part of Wano. They're in Zou. After Zou, Nekomamushi and Inawarashi honestly meant nothing to anybody. I'm gonna be real with you. And anyone that says anything different, they lied to you. So once you take all of that away and then you just get the Scabbards as basically 9 Paulies in Kinemon, I'd rather just have one Paulie.
The other thing is, I think what I originally said was that I think Paulie, I liked them more. I didn't say they were better written or they were stronger or anything like that, or they had more impactful moments. It's just that I preferred Paulie as an entity in the story to the Scabbards, who I feel relatively, like, neutral towards. Like, I don't actually hate any of them. It's just that I'm very, very neutral. Like, I don't think that any of them did anything that made me, other than Kawamatsu maybe, did anything that made me feel like very attached to them. And Kawamatsu, the only reason I really liked him that much was like his introduction was really hype as this kind of fishman stuff. And it was like, oh, maybe he's got this new method of using fishman karate, but with a blade, and like, that's really cool. And then it never got investigated. And that there was just so much potential in these characters that just I don't think ever came to fruition.
I'm not from Toronto.
And then just to like, Preacher, do you want to say something to say my point before?
Yeah, you know, I see it because I think it was just missing context when I heard it on the stream. Right. You know, so many people were talking, but yeah, like I kind of see what you're saying now because it's like I agree. The Scabbards are more important to the story of Wano, and Paulie was just like this side character to Iceberg. But as far as did I like Paulie more, I did not like Paulie more than Denjiro or Kinemon is hilarious, bro. Like, so just like things like that, and even like that, there's so many good panels with the Scabbards too. Like the panel where they're standing there on the rooftop and it's like the moon in the background and the dragon with Kaido. It's like, bro, that's one of the best panels in Wano to me. So.
Hey, so quick question. Denjiro, this man, Denjiro left for like what, 50, 60 chapters? For me, even longer. So for me, it's just like, how do I feel? Like, it was almost like an itch. Like, I'm like, he's going to come back. He's going to do something, but it almost felt in like an annoying way where I know Oda's is saving him until he really needs to do something like specific in the arc. It didn't feel like, I didn't get good vibes from that. Where do you guys stand on Denjiro disappearing for like all of Onigashima?
I think it was just so he would turn up at the right time. I think Oda didn't want to tie him up in something else so that he couldn't be, you know, like conceivably where he was for the Komurasaki stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of weird not seeing him for so long, but I think with the story of Hiyori and the fact that he was with Orochi for so long, I think it was fitting that he finished him off.
I don't disagree with that at all, Preach, because I think that's what Oda intended. And the only thing that I'm going to be very wary about saying this because a lot of people will think this is sacrilege, but there are times where I will disagree with Oda's intentions. And not to say I'm a better writer, not to say I know exactly, like, Oda will infinitely be one of the best mangaka, if not the best mangaka of all time. So I'm going to stress that. But as a reader, I have a right to an opinion. And as a reader, I have a right to say, I don't like what I read. And I will say, Denjiro being gone for that long, after the notion of Denjiro being one of the top Scabbards, not even just like some Mickey Scabbard like Raizo. We all know he's like a Raizo, Kanjuro, all a little bit Mickey. We gonna leave him alone. Denjiro had the cachet. It was him and Ashura Doji that escaped from Kaido. These guys, Kyoshiro, he's Orochi's right-hand man. Bro, Kyoshiro clashed with Zoro casually.
See,
I'm talking about like that's a casual man. You know?
Hey, at least like you have such a respectful way of putting like, okay, I don't like this certain thing in the story. I might like Oda, I might like One Piece, but I just don't like this specific instance because a lot of things get lost in translation or lost in conversations because you guys probably have experienced this, but like somebody will like if someone hates something in One Piece and you enjoy it for whatever reason, people will say like, oh, you're just not real enough. You're not being real about it. You're a meat writer, and then that's where like the conversation takes a whole different turn and like you don't get to actually speak precisely and speak honestly about how you feel about One Piece.
Honestly, I feel like, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna let you go, but I need to let him know how much I resonate with that because I have dealt with that type of reception from the community for a very long time, and I will talk highly. I'll praise so many things about One Piece, so many things I'll talk about from One Piece that I love. But God forbid I mention something where I feel like Oda failed to deliver to me as a reader, and all of a sudden my opinion is, oh, you don't enjoy One Piece. Oh man, like why are you just trying to write your own narrative? You don't know the story. You don't understand the story. You don't understand the themes. I'm like, no, nigga, I can read. I've been reading this story since I was 15 years old. I'm almost 30. For you to tell me I don't understand what the fuck I'm reading, to me, means you're just ignorant. And I'm not gonna get too crazy. I'm not gonna go crazy off it, but I'm saying like I completely understand what you're saying because the reason I presented it so respectfully is because I'm trained. I'm trained by this ratty community from time to time. Not everybody, by the way. Everyone in here, you guys are fine. But there are rats in this community that will look at you, take one word that you say, take one thing that you dislike, and create an entire narrative about you and your personality because you don't like something.
Oh, 100%.
We don't have to like everything that Oda puts on the table. And there are things that are dissatisfactory and there are things that are absolutely amazing. Oda is one of those mangaka that has a lot more hits than he has misses. But because he has a lot misses doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about those misses. My mom would still whoop my ass if I did 100 things right, but I did the one thing wrong that she didn't like. I'm still getting a belt. Yeah. So I don't understand what the problem is.
That was a great way of putting it.
I just wanted to emphasize that. Preach. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Man, no. I gotta say something, man, because like I've seen some of your streams where you go crazy, man. Like, and the thing is, you're a reaction. Those are reactions. So like, your job is to react. And like, I'm talking to you right now, and it's way more calm. You like, it seems like because you've now thought about it more, you had more of an insight on it. And it's like when people get mad over a reaction, it's kind of crazy, bro. Because it's like, if you don't like something, you're not gonna like it. And also for me, it's like when I talk to people in One Piece community, I actually find the disagreements more interesting. I like to see where people's coming from, like different perspectives. If we just all agree on the same thing, it's kind of boring. Like, it's so boring.
Yeah, but
exactly, yeah.
That actually extends past just One Piece, right? Like, people want to crucify me if I don't like a certain One Piece theory. It's insane. Like, I'll even go out of my way. I'll be like, yo, shout out to this creator, man. They're doing their thing. I respect their craft. This is in no way attacking the person. If people want to crucify me, people have gotten racist. People have said, oh, you need to die just because I don't like a certain One Piece theory. And I'm just like, bro, like, first of all, I'm not God. It doesn't really matter what I like. I'm just telling you what I like. So people could be very predatory on you expressing yourself. It's insane, but it's crazy.
One thing I have to say here is that's ad hominem, don't listen.
Oh yeah.
My biggest resolution last year like to kind of get out of my system was realize that when someone started to attack my character rather than my logic, it was time to say goodbye.
I agree.
100%.
A billion percent.
100%.
And like the more you do YouTube, the more that you're a public face, the more you've got to do that. The more you can't even shut them down, and you've just got to ignore them, because like they are so negatively consuming of your energy, and they will take away the energy that was there to do good things, and like do longer streams and do happier streams and more positive influences. And that's not to say that everything you're going to say is going to be kumbaya. It's just to say that there are people out there that are vampiric with energy, and they will attack your character before your opinion.
That's a very good statement, honestly. And I think as a content creator, and I feel like a lot of people, you know, Evil, I feel like the moment you've come up, you're at 33K now, you were at 10K before, you've been growing. The bigger you grow, the more of those personal attack comments that you get. And the more it gets, it's like, I think people don't understand is that you get 100 of those comments.
Mogadishu,
cool.
Thank you for the 1 month. And Kaya, thank you for the 5.
That just goes too far. There's always one comment that goes too far.
Yeah.
And there is a part of you where you're like, I cannot allow that to go by. I cannot allow you to say that, because that shit is so untrue. It's so... there's no education behind it. You haven't even taken the time to really investigate my content, what I'm about, what I really represent. And you're blatantly misrepresenting my content for people to see and then buy into based on their own negative narrative, where you have to check them. I've seen people at 33K, I've seen Brago, I've seen Roger, I've seen Grand Line, I've seen all of them respond to one, because there's always one, you know, and then there's the whole war about, you know, clickbaity thumbnails and all this other stuff. And mind you, I get that. But until you're in a position to create content, until you're in a position where you have to give an opinion on the series every single week for years on end, until you understand that you're required to give an opinion to help the fans that love you dearly, and to have somebody else take that one opinion that you give on that one day and then misconstrue an entire perception of you, and then they hear it over and over and over and over again, there's a breaking point. And people need to understand that I'm not going to tolerate you being a rat. There's sometimes when I have to cuss you out. And if you see me on stream cussing somebody out, it's because I had enough. Yeah. It's all that simple. I just had enough of you. I'm done with it.
I got a super chat. It might be directed at you. It's the guy's name's ridiculous. Shake that hole. Oh no. My Nigerian brother, talk your ish, kid is mid, and when Sage says she likes Polly more than the Scabbards, she was spitting. Polly's more memorable. What do you guys feel?
I feel like that might be.
I completely disagree, but you know, it's and I'm like, bro, Water 7 is my favorite arc of all time. Like, not even just One Piece, bro. Like, just all manga, all anime. But the Polly thing, it just caught me off right there.
Hey, Shake, thank you for that. Super.
Yeah, I think I've accidentally made a comparison that's gonna last for longer than I've expected.
But once you guys broke it down, once you give the context, like, I understand what you're saying now.
Yeah, I don't mean that he's a better written character. I don't mean that at all.
No,
I just mean that, like, no. But, like, when it comes to my endearment, like, how much I view that character with nostalgia, how much I view that character with disappointment, like, there's very, very little disappointment compared to happiness, and that I don't share with the Scabbards. And if it was like, that's different. Because this is going to be controversial as fuck, but I shouldn't say it. But when it comes to Kanjuro, I think he might be one of my favorite written characters of the Scabbards, because it was at least a little bit more interesting than the other one.
I really like Kanjuro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on.
I just think that he had so many signs and things that we could have said, oh, look at that, oh, look at that, oh, look at that, in the past, before he was found out to be a traitor. And then when he was found to be a traitor, till his dying breath, he still was a cunt. I shouldn't say that, didn't I? I'm not.
He was. No, you're good. We're unfiltered. We're unfiltered here. Don't worry.
It's like one of those things you hate him, but you hate him like in the good way. Like he was such a good villain just because you hate him so much.
That's how you know a character is written so good though. Like if you feel an emotion like, oh my god, this character is so smart, oh my god, this guy's heroic, this guy makes me angry, I feel like, in my opinion, like that's a successful character. Like if you actually feel a certain emotion just thinking about him, seeing him do like this and that, Kanjuro like hits it out of the ballpark. And what I really like about Kanjuro though, there was theories going around that he was going to be the traitor before it actually happened. Like Oda put those little seeds and they grew into a nice flower. Like that wasn't just something random just to spice up the Wano arc.
Yeah. And someone said, I'll just bring this up quickly. Someone said, like, imagine if there were only 4 Scabbards. I think that was during the Reverie. Now, imagine we only had Kanjuro, Kinemon, Raizo, and Forgetful. Like, whichever one of the Forgetful ones you want to include, I really don't mind. It would have been so different. If we'd have left the Dukes at Zoe and had these 4, like, and they brought Zanisha, and we had, like, Zanisha has some meaning because she's brought the Dukes. Like, there were so many ways to play with it, to have less Scabbards and more interest. And I don't know.
I really like your thoughts, but real quick, someone in chat keeps asking, ask them, he was also saying, Jay, does Brago look like Avon Barksdale from The Wire?
God, we're gonna leave that narrative alone. Oh my God, he doesn't.
Generally speaking, I don't like to compare anyone to celebrities, even less so.
Brago is his own person.
When people say that, it's like people calling me Vinicius Jr. from Real Madrid, bro. Like I just can't take it, so I just normally leave that alone.
Avon.
Bro.
No, but like
my bad.
People used to do that to like my ex, and they'd be like, "Oh, you look like Stormzy. Oh, you look like X rapper." It would always be a freaking rapper, and it was like, "Oh, okay, you're one of those people." Okay. Okay.
But I would say no. Brago doesn't really look like Avon Barksdale. They may have like mildly similar features, but I think it's a reach. Personally.
Yeah, I don't even watch The Wire. I mispronounced his name, I guess. Everything I've heard about The Wire though, people are saying like, "Oh, this is the greatest piece of television of all time."
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like they gassed that so heavily. Like the first season is cool, and the second season is like slow, so it doesn't really pull me in. But everybody that I know will live and die by The Wire, so I'm gonna give it a chance again. But like, it's to me. Like the first season's good, and you can watch it all the way to the end, but it's still, you don't get really hooked yet. Apparently, you get hooked later on in season 2, and in season 3, apparently it's incredible. But like, ain't no Sopranos, nigga. That's all I'm gonna say.
The Sopranos is goated, especially the last episode, man. Oh, come on, bro.
Yo, Sopranos, like I said, I could talk about the Sopranos for maybe 7 hours. One of these days I'm gonna do it straight. I swear.
I'm here for it.
Without all the racismo, but you know, it is what it is. You gotta deal with that.
We got another. Go on. What's up, Randy?
I was gonna say, what's some more hot takes that you got?
Hot take.
I
mean, I got a ton of them.
Aka Inu. I think like the whole agenda that Aka Inu is significant. This is, oh my god. Are we gonna go into power scaling territory? But let me just ask that before I even say this.
I didn't get enough. We didn't get enough power scaling in the Reverie. So I mean, if you want to, like, by all means.
All right, man. So look, Aka Inu needed 10 days to beat an Admiral. Okay. To say that there's a significant gap between him and the Admirals, I don't see it, right? Not only that, multiple characters such as Robin, they explicitly said that the 3 Admirals, not 4, the 3 Admirals are the strongest in the Navy. We all know the Fleet Admiral, that's a political position. So even if he did grow in strength through the time skip of One Piece, why would he grow quicker than the 3 Admirals, like working in the Marines? Like, I never understood like the whole like Aka Inu's in this whole league, top 1. I really don't get that. I think it's a hot take.
I think Green Bull just tainted my entire perception of the current Admirals. So I think that's where I see like Akainu is way higher for me than Green Bull, and like even higher than Fujitora, like significantly higher.
Are you sure we shouldn't just gas Shanks up instead of downplaying the Admirals?
Yeah.
I think like that's the worst person to run into you in the whole story, aside from what Blackbeard and Dragon. Like Shanks, like. I think he would have sent out like many different characters running away.
Cause like, I'm with you, because for me, like I only say fleet admiral level to be a rat and then to promote agendas. But like, to be honest with you, when it comes to like being a fleet admiral, it is a purely a political position. But I also feel like at the same time, you have to be at the top of the strength scale as an admiral to be viable for fleet admiral, right? Because Kizaru wasn't even considered. Not to say Kizaru's weaker, but if one thing you've learned about One Piece, and if we're going to get into power scaling, you know, your willpower and your ambition, your drive, I think is tailored to your power. And I think out of everyone, I think Akainu has the strongest will out of all three of the admirals. So it wouldn't surprise me if he is the strongest. And knowing someone like Akainu, I don't think he's gonna get lackluster being behind the desk. You know,
okay.
Like, who is going to challenge an admiral? And as an admiral, not many people are going to challenge you to begin with, so you kind of have to train on your own. So I feel like as a fleet admiral, I would still train on my own as a fleet admiral anyway. So that's I guess that's the only way I would cope. I mean, I can see your point as well. So I mean, it depends on what you guys think about it.
I also think that his devil fruit is just so much better than most.
Yeah. I mean, Oda's statement, people drag that through the mud. The most offensive power devil fruit or something like that.
Most destructive, yeah.
Most destructive.
Most destructive, yeah.
What I wanted to ask though, so don't get me wrong, I'm willing to give leeway as far as Akainu being stronger than the other admirals. I could work that out. But would you equate that to being on a separate level from the other admirals?
Yeah, because I just see it that they've been in the game for longer. I gotta pay respects to the OGs. Like even Kizaru to me is higher than Green Bull and Fujitora.
I would still put Kizaru over them. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I also would, but something I would say is like, no matter how many fights Green Bull and Fujitora have been in, they haven't been fighting the strongest powers in the world for their haki to bloom, whereas the other admirals have. Like, they were drafted as relatively unknown, so they hadn't fought these people. Like, I'm not saying they're not strong, I'm not saying they don't deserve to be admirals, I'm just saying that as an admiral, you have to fight these powers.
Yeah.
You have to go up and do your job. Whereas as a freelance doing whatever you're doing person, you're not just going to go up to like a
Thank you to
Yonko
Randy
commander
Choi for
that's
hosting an amazing Reverie, man. If you guys aren't aware of who Randy Choi is, get from up out under the rock. Get from under the rock, however, too tired. Go subscribe to that man. Show love. He worked really hard to make that happen.
I just don't think so.
So I just got back. Sage, what was the last thing you mentioned?
Oh, I was just saying that, like, I just don't think they've gone through high enough difficulty fights in their past for them to be of the same caliber as the original admirals yet. And I'm sure they would become it. But, like, they've got all the potential, and I'm assuming that's why they've been put into the position they're in, is because they're like, whoa, you've got massive potential.
Yo,
you've got
Kushi,
really,
chill, bro.
Good haki and fruit control and all this stuff. Like, you're right for the job. I don't think they've got the experience that the others have. And I think that's part of why Green Bull was ready to take out Luffy and stuff. Because he's inexperienced. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go do this without thinking about the consequences of what he's doing.
You know, I think it would be a good idea if the criteria for being an admiral would be to take out one top pirate.
That would be
Say
cool.
that again?
I would love that. The criteria for an admiral would be to take out one top pirate. Or a pirate with maybe like 500 berry bounty.
Yeah, I'll have the live stream up on my second channel.
Take out a billion berry pirate, then they're not an admiral to me.
Yeah.
I agree
Green
with
Bull,
that.
he definitely can.
Yeah.
Like, we saw what he did with even though King, you know, he had his wing cut off and whatever, but he's still, we know he can still take them out. So I'm not trying to, like, because I do have a tainted perception of it. I still have to respect Green Bull and Fujitora, but I don't know, man. I just think these new admirals are not the same as the last ones.
Some people will even say, like, that applies to the Yonko. What do you guys think about that?
The new Yonko now. So I don't think so. Would you? To me, Blackbeard was top one before Kaido and Big Mom actually went down.
Yep.
After he got the Yami Yami no Mi, and in 2 years, and after the Payback War to me, he was either top one or Shanks was one.
Yeah.
It's or 1A, 1B. That's how I saw it. The moment I heard about that, I'm like, bro, it's over. That's it.
Blackbeard is a complicated topic for me because realistically, I know the final Pirate King battle will be Luffy versus Blackbeard. So I can easily equate that Blackbeard will be the strongest pirate before Emu if Luffy fights Emu in the world government. But the problem with that is like, that doesn't have to necessarily mean that Blackbeard is at that level right now. And I think like a lot of times when people talk about Blackbeard and the power scale, they don't necessarily address it that way. They're kind of thinking from like a prediction standpoint, like where's Blackbeard going to end up? Because for all we know, he could be like getting a third fruit, using more types of hockey and just improving, and then reaching that point.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I never considered it that way. A lot of people want to cope and say he's gonna get there. I think he's there, and the reason I think he's there is I think a lot of people don't understand how strong he was before the devil fruits. This dude scarred Shanks and caught him off guard to the point where Shanks had to get to Whitebeard's ship and warn him about Blackbeard. Who has Shanks ever warned another Yonko about?
Hey, you know another thing that no one ever talks about, Jay? I'll jump on this, right? Why does no one ever take into consideration this man, Blackbeard, absorbed a full blast from Whitebeard on his face at Marineford? Like, as far as I remember, he didn't dodge it. Like, he just straight tanked that.
He tanked it.
And the thing with Blackbeard too is like we haven't even seen really like even a percentage of his full power. We haven't seen the Yami Yami no Mi, and I think Oda's definitely saving that for a reason. And like even when he cuts out, we see the law fight, and then he cuts out right when he's about to use it. It's like, bro, that if that fruit is really what Blackbeard said it to be, he's gonna be a problem, bro. Like, I honestly think that him and Luffy by the end of the series will be on their own tier, like just so far ahead of everyone else.
And then think about it this way. Think about Impel Down. Luffy is breaking everyone out of Impel Down. He runs into Blackbeard, punches Blackbeard. He's rolling around. Oh my gut! I'm screaming. When Blackbeard chokeslams Luffy, I've not seen Luffy scream that much from anybody else. And on top of that, I think we could all say, if Jinbei didn't stop that fight, One Piece is over. And I'm serious. If Jinbei didn't stop that fight, Luffy would have lost and One Piece would have been over. Which means he would have bodied Ace and Luffy. And if Sabo came up, he would have took Sabo too. And this is all before the Gura Gura no Mi. This is this Yami Yami Blackbeard.
Yeah. So how do you guys? We'll start with the power scaling and then take kind of like move towards like a narrative side. How do you guys feel about Sabo in terms of being Admiral level? Are you comfortable saying that?
I am.
I'm very, very comfortable, actually. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I totally agree.
I am
very comfortable.
Wow.
With that.
I would even put him higher than the new ones.
I would put him right with Fujitora. I don't think he's stronger than Fujitora, but I don't think he's weaker either. I think he's right there.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I think he's right there.
The way I see it is that Ace, Luffy, and Sabo were a trio, and just based off their potential, it's like we know Ace and Sabo were close for a while, and that was when they were kids. But getting the new Devil Fruit, and he has martial arts, he has whatever. Like Sabo, to me, he's so important to the story with Luffy and Ace that he's going to be so strong because those three potential-wise were insane.
100%.
So I understand the potential, but I don't think it has to go farther than being stronger than an Admiral. I think if we're talking from a purely narrative point of view and not power scaling, I don't see Sabo needing to be stronger than an Admiral. No. I can see Luffy needing to be stronger than an Admiral, and arguably that's about it. The only character that we see right now that needs to be stronger than an Admiral is Luffy. And then Blackbeard, maybe, and Shanks. Well, I say Blackbeard, Shanks, and Luffy.
And Zoro.
You know better. Well, then again, if you consider Mihawk stronger than an Admiral, then
do you guys have gripes with Sabo's character? Because I see people throwing around, oh, he's a wannabe Ace, oh, the fake out deaths. I don't really know what you guys are going to say, but I think he's portrayed. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, my thing with Sabo is his reintroduction. I have problems with it. I have a lot of problems with it. I think that it was just poorly done on all fronts in terms of reintroducing him into the story in a way that was effective for the plot. And I feel like the Revolutionary Army, like, we had this inkling that they were there and involved in Dressrosa, and like they'd kind of started to come up and stuff, and we were like, oh, okay, this is the involvement, they're investigating, whatever. And then it's kind of like wild card. And I just, if you keep Sabo dead and you replace him with other plot devices, you get the same impact. Like, you can replace Sabo with an object, is what I'm trying to say. Like, there are things that he does that are just so okay, I guess he can. It's really hard for me to put it in words, but like, it's the way his character is used as a plot device and not as a character close to Luffy with emotional value. That's the best way I can put it. Sorry, that took me a while to get to.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Did you guys want to throw something in?
Yeah, I think for me, for Sabo, it's not even because I love Sabo, but it's not even the reintroduction. It's the initial introduction. I think was a disaster, if I'm being honest, because I think maybe if he did it before Marineford and showed Ace and Sabo and Luffy and their whole situation, not only would that make the Ace death better, I feel like it also would have been better to have Sabo, because once we find out Sabo was even existed after Marineford, it's just like, it doesn't really make too much sense. Like, why have we never heard of him? Why was he never mentioned in the story, all these chapters? And I don't know, man. I do like Sabo, but I just feel like Oda could have handled it better. And yeah, the reintroduction was fine, but it's just the initial introduction that I had a problem with.
Yeah.
So the initial, you mean like the initial in the ASL flashback?
Yeah.
It's funny because I've heard the argument about Sabo being an Ace clone, and I can see why people would assume that. I just feel like the difference between the two characters that we got with their individual backstories and their own struggles allowed me to separate the two characters in general. When it comes to their mannerisms, they seem a bit similar. But when it comes to Sabo, and I've done a lot of like character analysis with Ace, because I think Ace is arguably the best written character in One Piece outside of Garp. When I think about Sabo, I feel like there's still a lot more to explore and discover with Sabo that we haven't delved into yet. And I think right now he's only serving the purpose as a foil for Ace. But I think later on in the story, we're going to get a lot more of his character, because you see the hot-headed, prideful, you know what I mean? Like, you still see the same character flaws in Ace that you saw in Sabo. So that's why people get upset about it. But I still think there's more to come. There's a bigger role for Sabo to serve outside of what Ace has served. And I think that role will put a better picture on his character than what happened with Ace. So it's more hopium. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's more hopium than anything. But if you want to call him an Ace clone, that's completely up to y'all.
See, I like how you pointed out that, like, I think you were pretty much alluding to this, that like Ace and Sabo are mostly opposites, or like far different from each other. Like, we know that Ace is the only kid that's going to be the son of the Pirate King. Sabo came from royalty, like technically like borderline like celestial dragons. He's working with the Revs. He has nothing to do with Whitebeard. But I feel like to kind of like piggyback on what Sage was saying, it's just like the reintroduction for him, or I guess the introduction, like rubbed people the wrong way. And that's why they just take the route of saying, you know what, Ace 2.0, I don't like him.
I think it's lazy. I think it's a lazy comparison.
I think I like Sabo more than Ace, though. If I'm being real.
I think most people would like Sabo more than Ace, but I think that's mainly because we got a big look into Ace's daddy issues more than we did Sabo's. And that's why.
Yeah.
And I also think people got really pissed off with Ace turning back around to Akainu. A lot of people get angry at Ace for that decision.
Man,
that's why they really punted. Because remember, we got that side of Ace before we got the ASL flashback. So a lot of people were already predisposed to judge Ace and his behavior before anything else, which is why they're normally going to pick Sabo, because Sabo hasn't done something that's stupid yet.
Yeah, but I think I used to be in that same camp where I didn't like Ace for that factor, but I kind of, now that I look back on it, it's like characters have flaws in their own ways of being stupid. Like Luffy is not the smartest man, you know what I'm saying? Like Luffy, he's not the brightest person, but and people make just crazy mistakes. Ace's whole thing was that he was a hothead, represented through his fire and everything, and that's just the way he was, man. Like it's hard to see, and it's hard to witness it because you're just watching it in real time. But like I think once you look back on it, you realize that was the right response for his character.
So yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Go ahead, my bad.
No, you're good, bro. I was just gonna quickly say, like, I really like that point, because this might be a little bit different, but you remember, like, the One Piece community had an uproar when the whole Hiyori Kazuki Kaburn thing happened. The reason why I really like what you said is because I would never say that, maybe besides Luffy, that there's a character in One Piece that represents Oda. Like, these characters are gonna have flaws to make them feel more realistic. Like, this is a living, breathing world. To have Ace be a hothead and make a horrible decision, to Luffy not thinking about anything and being childish all the time, to Zoro being, like, you know, overly cocky and, you know, a little too stoic at times. Whatever flaw you want to find in a character, I think that's necessary for a story like this.
And we're dealing with extreme individuals, because these are not like. But it's not like the Usops, or like when we're talking about Ace, Luffy, Zoro, these characters are such an extreme, like their personalities are so extreme and they're so amplified, because that's what it takes to be at this level. So that's the way I always see it too with One Piece. Like, you look at Roger, you look at Whitebeard, they're not just normal. Like their personalities are so big and so grand.
So one thing I do want to add on to that, and I think this is how you can tell the difference between really high class writing and regular writing, and it's how relatable you can make a character be to the reader, and how much the reader can resonate and understand what you're trying to depict. And with a character like Ace is in an example, is in a situation like you said, Preach, where he's always going to be an extreme. He's an extreme character, but when it comes down to his character motivations, his character flaws, he is very human, and he's very much like someone who grew up with daddy issues. And people like to disparage daddy issues and use it as a tool to beat somebody, but these are things that people genuinely deal with, and how they react and how they behave is something that you need to look into. And that's what I think is one of the most beautiful parts of One Piece, is understanding the character motivations and understanding how close they are to home. And with Ace, he dealt with abandonment issues. He dealt with the fact that the father that he never had was hated by everyone, and the fact that people were telling him if he had a son, we would fucking hate him too. So people didn't even know he was his son, but he was already hated without them even knowing it. So he grew up with an inferiority complex, but he combated it every single day of his life, and he's young, so he doesn't even know how to accurately process and how to behave and how to respond correctly to that inferiority complex and the hatred for his own father. So as a result, he found his meaning in the people that actually didn't judge him after they knew the truth. So the moment those people didn't judge him after they knew the truth, Whitebeard, Ace, Sabo, the moment those guys knew the truth, those people were everything to him. Those people were his confidence, his self-esteem, everything. So for someone to insult your self-esteem, like Whitebeard, in front of you, if he doesn't turn around and face Akainu, it's an insult to his entire character. And I think that's exactly what Oda was trying to depict in that moment in time. And I feel like a lot of people miss that, because I always tell people this. Oda, when he writes these characters, he writes them in a way that are so relatable that you have no choice but to understand their motivations. With Ace, until you understand the psychology and the mental damage and the suffering and the emotional sense that he went through, the emotional pain he went through, you won't understand why he turned around. So turning around to Akainu is Ace saying, you insulted me. You didn't insult Whitebeard. You insulted me. If somebody insults you, if somebody insults your mom, your father, you gonna turn around and hit that nigga. You have to. Like, there's no point. You gotta hit him. To me, it's like, bro, I can't even imagine someone disrespecting my sister and me turning around and saying, nah, I'm good. I would never be able to live that. I would never be able to live that down. Never be able to live that down. God forbid my sister already dying in front of me.
And
trying to save my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo.
No, I love the way you broke it down, man. And I think also the situation too, people don't ever think about, it's a war, man. Like, there's so much stuff going on. It's like people dying all around you. There's so much craziness going on. It's like you don't know what you would do in the heat of the moment, and that's what happens, man. People make bad decisions when they're under a lot of pressure, and it's not logic based. Like you said, it's emotional for him.
Very.
Like, this man was literally captured and starved. Go on, Sage.
I was just gonna say, the other thing is, Ace has a sense of honor and pride, and like that same honor and pride that made him go against Whitebeard's will to find Blackbeard, like, is the same honor and pride that turned around. Like, you can't have one without the other. You can't have someone so utterly, honor bound to take revenge on their friend's death, and also think nothing of someone slandering the person that means almost the most to them in the world. Like, that's not going to be the same character. Like, Ace isn't the kind of character who lets, stuff go, and he's really relaxed and chilled out. His whole thing is that he's hot-headed. And, like, you can have a balance, because everyone in, like, real life has a balance, but expecting somebody to act perfectly in a war, like you mentioned a second ago, is bananas. It's utterly bananas. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, he's not gonna think straight. But welcome in, Kev.
So
Yeah.
yo,
I think you said something in chat. I think you said you had like a crazy take or something.
It wasn't like a crazy take, but it was something that I wanted to just cook. You know what I mean? I was like, there's something here that I wasn't able to say the reverie, and it was that, like, I don't know if you guys mentioned it already, and I didn't hear it on the first part of the reverie, but like, does anyone else think like Shaka is like super incredibly sus in like every way? Because like, I feel like there's so much wrong with him when it comes to like the signals dying down, and then also him being like the logic part. He's also never shown his face. I just feel like there's something like off inherently about him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious what you guys think about that.
I'm willing to hear someone pitch that to me, but I always felt like this is the one I would trust.
I think that's oh wait, you can go first. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think that all depends on how Vegapunk is split up. Because if it's literal, if it's literal, like his split is literal, then Shaka could only do bad things for the greater good, and that would be very existential, but I'd be okay with it. But if it's very literal and it's like, no, this person only does what's right and morally right, how do you define morally right by Vegapunk, who surrounds himself by bad people, like Caesar, like Judge, like the list goes on.
Like Queen, so many bad
like
people.
Queen, yeah, everyone, like Stussy, like everyone around him is like a bad person. So what is his version of good?
And I would even add to that. I would say Vegapunk. I know a lot of people want to say he's good, but he's done a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
Like the stuff with. You can go first. Yeah.
No. You're cooking. Go ahead, cook, bro.
The thing that is really like rubbing me the wrong way with what Sage is saying, not rubbing me the wrong way, it's like it adds to what you're saying, is the whole idea of what does he consider good, right? I think he considers the future of humanity to be good, so he doesn't care about the I forget the exact term for it, but it's like
emotional consequences almost.
Yeah, like the downfall of a few people is nothing when it comes to like the millions and millions of other people down the line that are going to benefit from this type of thing. It's like how people in real life, like they do experiments on like animals to lead to things that humans could use, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like drugs and like medicine and all this other stuff, which is very in line with Vegapunk in my opinion. But the thing that I do want to add is the idea of just Shaka's whole design of like You know, if he is the logic one, it could be like, oh, a binary computer logic, hence the 0 and 1 on his mask, which is just like the way computers like talk to one another and communicate with one another, which sort of adds to the inhumanity of this character. And this adds to my actually like kind of big theory, is that the green blood is made of the CP0 agents that they like took from, you know, they came to Egghead and apparently they left Egghead, but apparently they didn't leave Egghead. I think Vegapunk has like infused the Paramecia DNA of, you know, Senor Pink and all these other people into the blood of all these CP0 agents. So he's killing off all these people in order to make this new type of blood. And basically,
that'd be pretty twisted, bro.
Exactly. I feel like there's something up with it. I feel like, and I think it would be really good in this case as well, because it'll be a lot like Dressrosa, for example. Dressrosa, we meet like the island and we see all these toys and it's like, wow, this is so creative and great and cool. But then it's like, oh, the toys are actually like kind of like slaves and like trapped here forever and they're abandoned by their families because of the big bad guy. What if all the machinery in Vegapunk's like lab, like the food machine that they saw that was so cool, the clothes machine that's so cool, what if this is all powered by something like really twisted? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm like overestimating how wild this could be, because we don't know how long we're going to be on Egghead, but that's like just an idea I've been thinking of.
On the topic of Shaka, though, I saw a crazy comment in chat. I definitely want to hear what you guys think about this. I think it was King J, he said that Shaka is Nico Olvia.
Ooh. That'd be crazy.
I'm talking about Nico Robin's mom.
Yeah.
She could be alive, bro. I made a theory about that like a year ago.
So then my question is Vegapunk, he allegedly split his brain into 6 different satellites, correct? So do they only share the same information when they reach that big conduit that they have at the top of Egghead Island, like that one thing, or is they can't really hear or feel like what the other conduit is thinking? Like they're all their own individual.
They all communicate at least, though, right? I'm pretty sure they
communicate.
I know this. Hold on. They have the headsets to communicate in the daytime, but it's only once a day that they all link up to Punk Records to update what they've gone through during the day.
Punk
So
Records.
their memories don't assimilate until the end of the day where they've had time.
Oh, okay. So it is possible that one of them are traitors. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And
So
I was
they all-
thinking maybe they would just say they went there, but then just like maybe possibly omit some information from being put on the record. I don't know how they would do that, but you know, something like that. I don't.
Because with Nico Robbins' mom being Shaka, that could call into question, like, wait, how did Vegapunk split himself into Nico Olvia? That would take some explaining to do. And I feel like people at this point, like One Piece fans, they do not want to see more fake out deaths. You could argue that maybe Nico's mom's not necessarily a fake out death, but you guys know a lot of people would be very angry about that.
I'd be angry.
Well,
I'll tell you that.
At the end of when they were wiping out O'Hara, we didn't really see what happened with Nico Olvia and the CP0 or no CP9, I think it was, whoever was at the island. They said we need her alive. Out of everyone, they needed to keep her alive. So
Right.
it's possible that they somehow got her and then arrested her and kept her. But you know, I don't know. But it's just a thought.
Yeah, do you know, I remember, I noticed that panel, they said, yeah, let's keep her alive. And then they answered why, but I forgot. Do you remember why they said that?
I don't think they said why.
Huh.
I can look into it.
Why they kept who alive?
Nico Olvia, the Robin's mom.
Yeah, because when
Do you think it was Saul? I feel like Saul was the reason for some.
No, he wasn't
I
there
think-
at the point. I'm pretty certain. I think it was the Cypher Pole agents were there, and Saul left with Robin because Robin was crying on the ground, you know, being Robin and being very sad, and then Saul picked her up, ran off, and then they were saying something about Olvia. I'm pretty sure, but I'm checking the
I
chat.
thought you were
right
talking
now.
about in the past. Never mind. I didn't know you were talking about like when the Buster Call was actually happening. Because was she even? Did they do anything to her? Did she just tell Robin to run? Is that what happened?
It was
thought
it was
she
before
had-
that. I think they said that.
We know that she stayed on the island to throw books into the water, but then beyond that, we never got any disposition for that. But you know, if Saul's alive,
Yeah.
It's definitely possible.
I mean, it's a very high chance that she's alive if that's the case. I'm not gonna lie to you.
So are you guys aren't upset with Saul being alive? How do you guys feel about that?
I love Saul being alive. I think it's really great.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say I was upset. I would say like I understood, and that's it. That's the best way I can explain it. Like I wasn't butthurt about it because it made sense. I mean, him being frozen completely, like in so many different other mediums and series, I've seen people get frozen completely and not die. And Robin didn't die. Zoro, Luffy didn't die when they were frozen completely. So at this point, I'm just like, whoa, we have precedent of niggas not dying when they're frozen completely. So I'm not gonna get butthurt about it.
And
Yeah.
Kuzan too. Kuzan was his friend too, so it's kind of like
Yeah. So
the reason he
plus,
was given.
wasn't the attack that Aokiji used to freeze Saul? It was called time capsule. Like that just oh man, that just rubs me the way like yo, like they're in a time capsule. He's not dead. Like when I looked at it from that vision, I'm like, man, I wouldn't complain about it.
Yeah.
He could have just used ice time, bro, and really ended it, but he didn't. So I'm just like, all right, bro.
Yeah.
Ice.
Now going back to Vegapunk, man, it's like I look at the cloning and stuff, and it's oh man, because at first I was thinking, are the Seraphim and the Pacifistas, are they mindless? Like, are they being controlled? Or do they have souls? Like, do they have their own consciousness? And it's like, bro, when you think about what they are, it's actually kind of messed up because they're not just being cloned. That's already a problem, but now they're being like they're like children, and they're children slave
Like child
children
soldiers.
slave soldiers. Yeah, soldiers, exactly. So that's the reason why I think like Vegapunk is not just this good character. Like there's definitely some bad sides to him.
Originally, I was thinking Vegapunk. Like I had this theory that I was like, this is the reason I started my channel. It was like I thought Vegapunk was going to be inspired by the main scientist dude in Godzilla. It's like this
That was
super long
fire.
thing.
Yeah.
And it's like it was wrong, but like I don't really care because I enjoyed making it anyway.
Yeah.
But the whole idea was basically, I feel like Vegapunk is getting manipulated, and once the satellites all come together, he'll like realize like, oh my god, I've made child soldiers and like killed hundreds and hundreds of people with child soldiers, and it's like, man, this is really messed up. Like, and then Frankie, the linchpin for the whole thing was Frankie telling Vegapunk like, it's okay because what you made isn't a bad thing, which is the lesson Frankie learned from Tom. So it's like a cool, the student becomes the teacher kind of scenario, right? Which I think is still possible. But the whole idea was that Vegapunk didn't know about the child soldiers, but now I'm thinking Vegapunk might know about the child soldiers because one of them sent out the Jinbei one to fight the Straw Hats. So that's like sussing me out quite a bit. So I think it'd be questioned his beliefs and all that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I could grab something from chat. We could jump on. Let's see. Or if you guys have something you want to say, feel free.
So Jay, what do you rank Wano as far as the post time skip arcs?
Ooh.
I always want to ask you that.
It's better than Punk Hazard. It's better than Fishman Island, although I enjoyed the theme of Fishman Island more than Wano. I actually really do enjoy Fishman Island a lot. It's just that there's too many negatives in Fishman Island for me to really put it over Wano. Dressrosa, I would say Dressrosa and Wano are the most comparable too, because personally, I actually enjoyed Whole Cake more than I did Wano, and a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, but that's just my personal.
That's it. No, I respect that take. I think Whole Cake's a really great
Whole Cake, in terms of what I expected and what I got from Whole Cake, the only disappointment I would say from Whole Cake was the fact that I thought Sanji would have more of a combatant role in Whole Cake as well, but even if he didn't, him being a cook doesn't bother me because he's a cook. So I'm like, all right, we can live with the cake. And then Big Mom was good and then really frustrating with the whole Hunger Pants thing. That kind of ruined a lot for me in Whole Cake, so I can put it super high. So I would say Wano would be third, I'd say. Third or second. I could give it second, maybe.
That's higher than I thought.
Well, the thing is, like, a lot of people think I think Wano's absolute garbage. I can acknowledge that there's parts of Wano that are good, but out of all of the arcs, Wano disappointed me the most because of my expectations. But because I had very extremely high expectations for Wano, doesn't mean it's a shit arc. It means that there are things in Wano that I expected a lot more from and I did not get, so it downgraded it. And I would say Wano is a minimum 6, a maximum 6. So Wano's a 6 for me, unfortunately. Maybe 6.5. I wouldn't give it higher than that.
The thing with Wano, man, it's such a colossal arc. Like, we got the whole Odin flashback.
A 7. I'll give it a 7 for the Gold Roger, the Roger and Whitebeard stuff.
Then Roger going to Laugh Tale. Oh, he laughed, and then Luffy awakening, and Kaido getting cut by Zoro, and like that arc is just colossal. And I totally see why I would remove points from an arc given like a lot of the lows. Like, I feel like Zoro is just, he could have been so much better in Wano. But so Jay or everyone in the VC, when you like scale an arc and when you throw a number on an arc, how much does it matter in terms of super high highs versus low lows? Do you think like the really low points just like ruin the high points for you?
I think it just depends how many there are. Like, if there's so much more low points, then yeah, it matters. But if it's like a few here and there, then not so much. If there's, it has to factor out, because if there's so much more highs and there's only a few lows, I would say that it doesn't matter that much.
I'll be honest, like, the human psyche, the human psyche is to remember the bad more than remember the good. It's how you learn from your mistakes. It's just how things kind of are. Which means that when there are significant bad things about an arc, and there are a similar level of significantly good, but like, maybe it's mostly hype, maybe it's mostly a one-time experience, like the reread isn't as hype as the first kind of thing. I think those kind of moments get outweighed by the bad. And stagnation, like I was saying earlier, I think that's the worst thing that can happen in an arc, is stagnation, where it doesn't really, like, it becomes a bit thick and muddy and you don't really know the exact direction things are going and why you're there. So I think Wano has a little bit of that going on, which I think always brings down the whole overview of an arc. And I think that there are other arcs where, although there are bad things in them, or things that aren't necessarily what I would want to see, there was enough good, or as little stagnation as possible, that meant I had an overall good view. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, it's for me, when we had the whole Luffy Bergeron gun, like, I was devastated. I was not enjoying Wano, and like, I remember I had a chat. This is so horrible. I almost regret it. I had a chapter reaction to, Bergeron gun, and the crazy part is that, like, that was the theory that basically semi-confirmed Luffy was based on Hanuman. But even then, it ruined my experience for Wano at that moment so bad, because I'm just thinking, like, why does this have to come down to a punch, man? And then when he actually defeats Kaido, I remember, like, I had the chapter reaction, and within like 5 minutes of like finishing the chapter, like live reading it, I just ended the stream. Like, my whole day was ruined, and I'm like, bro, why couldn't he like stab Kaido with lightning, or punch Kaido, or slap Kaido with a lightning rod, or something that isn't a punch?
No, it's crazy, because I remember we disagreed on that, and I was saying that the Bajrang gun is probably my favorite Luffy finishing attack. But I remember that you pointed out something that I never even thought of, but it's so true. It's like the stuff with Momonosuke where he's carrying down the clouds on Onigashima when it's falling, and it's like it just goes to the next page and we just see it on the ground.
Yeah,
that was something that I was like, man, what are we doing here? Because that's Momonosuke's big moment, right? And the fact that it was just going on to the next page, we don't see the whole process of him, and it was also just hard to see what was going on too. And that part was really what I had a problem with the ending. But I actually like the Bajrang gun though.
Yeah, so I'll throw this in real quick, and then I'll let you speak, Jay. I like that you bring up the Momonosuke moment, because y'all know through Wano, week in, week out, every chapter, the island's moving, the island's moving, the island's moving. Kaido's carrying it. Oh my god, it's shaking. No, wait, the island's still moving. This is like, why is it such a big deal? And then like what you said just now, Preach, we finally get to the great moments. Momonosuke trying to hold the island or whatever. You see the island in one panel, and the very next panel, it's on the ground. Like it felt so uninspired. It felt like so anticlimactic, bro. That like bothered me so much, and like I didn't see anyone mention that, and I felt like gaslighted. I felt like, yo, am I the only one that thinks it's like BS? We saw this island.
He pointed that out, and I went and reread the chapter. I'm like, man, that's so, bro. Like I can't see it the same way now.
Go on, Jay.
So it's funny because I don't normally share a lot of my real full opinions on Wano, just because sometimes I think a portion of this community can't handle certain criticisms that I would have, or they would assume that what I'm saying is from an uneducated standpoint. And what I'll say is, and just to get to your original question about, how much do the lows and the highs weigh in your rating of an arc? I think it depends on the expectation, the gravity, and the buildup that Oda has for certain subjects, and then doesn't cash in on, right? And then there's also things that are just straight up bad. So if you look at Fishman Island, Vanderdecken was ass. Horty served his purpose, but he was ass. So I respect Horty serving his purpose, but he was trash. Sanji, garbage. Sanji was horrific in Fishman Island, and I'm a Sanji fan. So to me, you can't. I'm the biggest Sanji fan out there. So in terms of credibility, if I say Sanji was horrific, just accept it. He was absolutely dog shit in Fishman Island, like from beginning to the end, right? So for me, that limits Fishman Island, and I cannot put Fishman Island over a 7 because of those 3 niggas. They literally, those 3, that's 3 points taken away already. But it's a testament to the themes of Fishman Island, and how Otahime's story, the story of racism, the Fishman's, all that stuff is beautiful. So that's just an example, right? And then go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask you, and then everyone else. You guys can answer, of course. Everyone, they point out Fishman Island. It's good, it's bad, whatever. But the one moment that stands out, the son of Neptune's asking Hody, "Why are you doing this? What's with all the anger?" You have the whole flashback of Adihime, the whole history of Fishman Island, and he says, "I'm doing this. I hate humans." For no reason, for nothing. Like, what did they do to me? Nothing. Do you guys feel like that's like a top moment? Does that do anything for Fishman Island as an arc?
It does, because it shows the cycle of hatred, and that's what the cycle of that's what the cycle is. It inspires people, because when you think about it, and I'm gonna keep this short because I want Kev to say something as well. Think about what we go through today in today's society. There are people that grew up being racist because their parents were racist, and they just adopted it.
100%.
Horty is an example of that.
Yep.
Straightforward.
And sometimes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right. Like, that's all I was gonna say. Yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes like these villains, these characters, like we'll have characters in One Piece that have so much depth. They're just an onion, just layer after layer after layer. Sometimes there's just gonna be a character like they're pretty simple. Like Hody, he saw these people in Fishman Island. They hated humans, F humans, man. Look what they did to Fisher Tiger. The whole thing with Adahime, like he would probably be more on the simple side, where like he's just a product of the environment. He doesn't have to have like this whole big, oh well, this human stabs me and then I was his friend and like this whole deep story behind him.
Man, I think Fishman Island to me is it's arguably one of the worst arcs of One Piece. Like, it's definitely one of the top 3 worst for me.
I fundamentally disagree. I think like Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, like there are so many.
Whiskey Peak is forgettable, bro.
Like Whiskey Peak is just like
forgettable.
It's just like
bro,
Fishman Island is so like it's just rich. It's so rich of like theme, and like it makes you just feel things. And like, sure, I could feel like boredom for Hody Jones because I don't think he's cool, but I also I understand Hody Jones for being this way because of all the buildup in the flashback. I'm genuinely like, dude, Fisher Tiger is genuinely one of the best characters.
One of the best flashbacks
he's
ever.
Goated.
The scene with Koala and the brand might be my favorite scene in the series. It might actually be my favorite scene. And when he throws the gun over and he's like, "We're not killing anyone." It's just like every time, it's like it turns me into like a mess. It's like I want to live tier in my opinion, and it's not considered that like on the grand, like the main community thing.
But it should be.
It should be,
Kevin.
Like,
You're the cook. You're right. It should be.
He's like, and I think Jay, I'm gonna talk about this because. You preach the word of Fishman Island. You constantly preach how good the arc is. You did just say it's not the best, obviously, but you preach that it's good. You know what I mean? And I respect that. And I love your video with Brago, where you just talk about how amazing they are. It's like chef's kiss. You know what I mean? It's like, yes.
It's an amazing arc, man.
It's like, bro, I think it's just that I reread a lot of the arcs, and even Skypiea. I don't like Skypiea, but I reread it, and it's at least entertaining. At least there's interesting things there, and I every time I read it, I like it a little bit more. But with Fishman Island, bro, it's just so hard for me to go back and I think Oda just did the Fishman race dirty too, bro, because it's like Jinbei. I want to see more of Jinbei. We saw some things, but I just thought like Jinbei should be the star of the show right there.
So I don't disagree with that. I think what Oda wanted to do with Fishman Island was more about the prejudice, the racism, and the actual battle of racism and classism and morality. It was the battle itself. So, and this is why I go back to Wano, because I like to compare Wano and Fishman Island because I see it as the same. Two arcs with really, really, really big lows and also really, really big highs, right?
They're both hyped up too.
Yes, and they're both hyped up. The only difference between Wano and Fishman Island is that Wano had a lot more big, hype, plot relevant moments like Gear 5 and Yamato and Kaido. So you automatically boost them up because of the things that you care about happen in Wano more. But when it comes to the lows, people don't talk about Hyogoro surviving. That is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Remember, even we didn't talk about that once in the Reverie. That is fucking trash. Oh my God! Don't get like I said. I'm about to go off, so I'm gonna calm down.
On the topic of like Wano fake, on the topic of Wano fake deaths, I wanted to bring up another one that really pissed me off because I'm just of course. Yeah. No one brought up Kanjuro's fake death. That was generally one of the best deaths in the whole series for me. And then they just like they cucked us. It's just like how dare you? How dare you make this perfect death?
I joined in the Reverie.
A lot of people don't realize this, but one of my most angry reactions, I've had I would say 3 or 4 very angry reactions. One is the kid. One is, I think 2 of them are actually the kid. One is the Kaido's backstory. One is the Kaido's fight with Odin. And then one is Kanjuro saying this is my final performance for the 3rd fucking time. And I swear to God, nigga, I was ready to drop One Piece. I was ready. I said, Kanjuro's back. This is my final performance. I'm like, how many final performances do you fucking have? How many do you have?
How many encores?
Oh my God.
Shake that hole. Shake that hole.
I couldn't take it, bro.
Shake That Hole said the Scabbards acted like they were ready to ride out for Odin whenever, but so many moments when they looked sweet, or I guess he meant to say it this way. The Scabbards acted like they were ready to ride out for Odin, but there were so many moments where they looked sweet and they allowed Odin to be disrespected.
They did on many occasions.
Yeah, I tuned into the Reverie for the last 30 minutes, and I heard you guys going off on the Kinemon death. Man, that bro, I was in complete disbelief when it happened, and that to me that is so much worse than the Pell death because not only is it bad, bro, but it's like Oda made it.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute the VC real quick to see this chat or to see this clip. Harrison, why you don't be licking those lips at me? Harrison, what the fuck are you on, bro?
Made it into a funny thing. It's like
thanks for the super, but what the fuck? Trying to make me look all weird and shit.
Every time I think about reading that chapter, it's just complete disbelief. complete, bro. It's I don't even know what to say, man.
It's just like I feel like I can't read chapters 10, 14, 10, 15 like at all the same anymore because just like I know what's gonna happen and I'm just pissed off.
You made a mockery out of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Is it bad I predicted him being alive? Like no matter how much I didn't like it, like I knew he was gonna be alive. Were you guys under the same kind of, are you guys in the same boat?
I prayed he died. You know.
Yeah, I was more hoping he died than hoping he survived.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it was like, oh, I sure hope you stay dead. Like that was very death of you. Stay there.
I was like, this looks like a solid. Like to me, I'm like, this has the potential to be one of the best deaths in One Piece that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it. And it's like, for me, if you're not gonna kill him, make it believable. The explanation is what made it thousands, and I'm serious about thousands times worse.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
no, exactly, bro. It was because it was. I think Jay said it where it was like he said that the moment was destroyed. The moment was good and it was destroyed, but it's just the way like the way he's running around making a joke out of it after just makes it even worse.
He's like, oh, I remember. It must have been Law when he cut me in half. He didn't really attach me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so is nobody that Law attached really attached? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
What?
Well, wasn't it like the technicality that Law didn't put him back together again because it was the Straw Hats that put him back together, and like that technicality was so milked.
That is this garbage. To me, it's garbage. It's something I would come up as.
Bro.
If you guys are new to the channel, by the way, make sure to drop a sub. I'm always dropping One Piece theories constantly. I do these theories or these streams like twice a week. I'm gonna try to get more people on the stream, but if you're new here, drop a sub.
Hey, Big Mom, do we think she's alive?
Big Mom being alive?
I do.
I think so. I think she's
Because someone showed me the other day that on the cover page with Pudding, where she's been kidnapped by Van Orga and Aokiji, she's ripping up a piece of paper that flies off into the wind behind her.
Ooh.
Did anyone else notice that little bit?
I
think I know what
have
you're
to
talking
pull that up.
Yeah, I'm checking the
I will.
website real quick.
Yeah.
I know it's a little something. You know.
It's a little something.
Yeah. 'Cause if it's the Vivre card, that means Big Mom has to be alive.
I think I know what you're talking about. There's like a little flex in the cover page, right? So
Yeah, I will. It's the cover page. Yeah.
Let me try and
I
get
definitely
there.
have it saved, but where it is always a question.
It's tough because if Zeus is alive, then it's like she probably is alive. But then they also said that Law killed her, and that whole panel made it seem like she was dead. So
They gassed it up like she was.
yeah.
Well, it was the magma, like Kaido, that's holding her down. It's not. It was. There was never like a that went through her with the railgun, or that did that with this. Like it was. She's down into the ground. She must be dead.
Allegedly.
I just had another thought about Kinemon, but I don't want to say it.
unfortunately.
Say it.
Like, okay, imagine Kinemon did die, right? You know, in a good timeline. Like I talk about, I love Kinemon. He's actually like a very high-ranking character in my opinion. You know what I mean? He's just very fun and cool, and he's very funny.
it's funny. Yeah.
Imagine if like Momo, he had Odin's other sword and then Kinemon's sword, and that's how he learned the two-sword style. That would have been crazy. His father and like his father, who was like played the role of his father, that would have been powerful. But no.
Okay, I
see it
pulled up that page. I'm sorry. What was your What did you notice again?
I posted it in behind Pudding. Look at her hands, and then look to the left. You can see some paper flying away from her hand.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
posted
moved
it
over.
the chat as well for us to.
Yeah, it's right here, like this little paper to the left of her hand. Interesting. Huh.
Because to me, that's probably a Vivre card.
Oda would do something like that. Like I try my best to gauge Oda. I don't want to say he's like a complete mastermind in things that like don't really matter, but I feel like this is something he would probably throw in, you know?
Yeah, I feel like that's because Pudding then has the dialogue, if I remember correctly, it's in the same chapter, of, oh, if she's dead. I'll go have a look. But,
I wanted to... Go on.
As Big Mom, I can maybe...
Appreciate the love, y'all. 33,333 subs. We hit it today, man.
I think it's just Final War, like...
I think I missed your question. Or what you had said.
Like, I can see Big Mom being alive and bringing her an Elbaf, and there's ways she could fit in the story still, but I just don't see how Kaido fits in.
Do you think Kaido wants to work with Luffy Final War because this is Joy Boy? Or is that just something you don't...
I don't know, man. It just... I feel like Kaido's better off just dead right now.
I had some ideas regarding Awakening with Kaido, now that we've got some more insight into what Awakening like seems to be. And it's, at least from my perspective, it's like, I think it's when the dream of the user aligns with the dream of the fruit. So that's why I think Lucci can awaken, because he wants to murder people. His fruit is a predatory Zoan, so they can awaken, right? And Luffy, he wants to be the freedom person. You know, Nika, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
But Kaido, since Kaido and like Eastern dragons aren't meant to be like malevolent, like bad creatures, I feel like Kaido can't awaken because the dream of his fruit is basically like a peaceful dragon. And to be fair, we don't know. This is speculation. And his goal is to start war, so he can't awaken. So this has me thinking, if he does awaken, maybe it'll be like some kind of weird impel down Zoan monster thing, like how they were like a forced awakening, and maybe that's how he'll return to the story. And it'll be kind of neat, because you remember how there's like a huge, like, not like fan theory, but like, yo, wouldn't this be cool if like Big Mom was riding Kaido like a dragon? I think that might actually happen with the forced awakening. And he won't actually be like present in the story. He'll basically be like kind of, I guess, like brain dead or something, you know, just taken over by the fruit. And basically he won't even be able to experience the death that he wanted. I think that'd be pretty cool way, like ironic, tragic way to end his character.
I could definitely see Oda, like when we least expect it, bro, like he'll somehow know, like, we're not thinking about Kaido and Big Mom anymore. That's when they show up, man. It's just gonna smack us in the face. It'll probably rub people wrong, and like a lot of people wrong, though, seeing them back and alive. Like, these guys literally like fell into a volcano and it erupted. Like, I kind of admire that. I actually appreciate that. Like, Luffy could have punched Kaido into the ground. Okay, he's just sitting there, but this dude went down into a tunnel in a magma cavern through a volcano and it just erupted. Like, I thought that made it a little bit more tolerable.
I think it all depends on how Pluton ties into this, because that's under Wano by where they are, right? So, like...
There's an image of that. I'm gonna have to pull it up, because I don't really remember.
Whatever the correlation between Pluton sleeping apparently under that ground and, like, where it comes to, like, where they landed in the magma, there must be something to do with it. Like, there must be a connection, because to me, why would it be A, sleeping, and B, why would they be sent so far down? Like, it just doesn't sit right as an open plot thread that both of them are in a similar vicinity to an ancient weapon right now, and both of them are questionably alive or dead.
Yeah, I pulled up the map of Wano, like underground. The tunnel is a bit to the left of like the giant hole where people speculated Pluton would be, which it turned out to be true. It was underground in Wano, obviously. But I guess there is room to speculate that maybe they made their way towards it. Like, it's awfully close.
It's more that I wonder if they awaken Pluton from the disturbance. Like,
oh, okay.
It's that sleeping aspect that I don't trust.
Okay, I see what you're saying there.
And the other thing is because I just looked back to look at the Olivia death, and I just looked back, and Clover actually said the so-called ancient weapons with the power to destroy islands and stuff. So he even refers to them as being like, well, they're kind of weapons, I guess. They've got power, but like, are they really weapons? Like, he questions it himself in his dialogue. So like, there's just some interesting wording, and Oda is such a one for the interesting wording. So, like, I really do think that a combination of the sleeping thing, a combination of the weapons not necessarily just being weapons. One of them we already know to be a living animal entity situation. Like, it doesn't sit with me. The other thing that doesn't sit with me is the sovereigns.
Like the two sovereigns that the Sea Kings are talking about?
Yeah. Because like, I don't think we've had the moment where the whales sing. Like, a lot of people kind of palm off the bit where the whales all kind of like have a little joyous thing with the straw hats like coming out of Fishman Island. A lot of people are like, oh, that's it, but I don't think the sovereigns have met yet. I don't think that moment's happened. And the reason I don't think that moment's happened goes back to the bell. The bell in Skypiea is this really big like noise symbolism, like it's really important, and we have this thing about the whales singing, and I feel like we're going to hear them, like it's going to be noted that they're singing whatever's part of the story that happens in.
Yeah, if anything, that might have been like a foreshadowing to the bigger event, and most likely it's going to have to do with Laboon, right? Because it seems like Laboon's going to tie in at the end of the final saga, and that the two sovereigns meeting could be like Laboon is the main key to that.
I don't know about Laboon being the key to the sovereigns, but I do think that the red line going down, which I think a lot of people relatively agree, like the red line isn't going to stay intact at the end of the story.
Yeah.
I think that's the moment the whales sing, so that must be near the moment the sovereigns meet, and then we've got the destruction of Fishman Island coming into that, so there must be some level of like meeting in that part of the story we're not at yet, which is really frustrating because it's hard to speculate about something so far in the future.
So someone in chat asked a few times, it seems like a vague question which might actually work in our favor. Where do you guys see the future of the Straw Hats?
What do you mean by that?
That's what I'm saying. It seemed pretty vague. I don't know if he means like end game, like epilogue. Like, is Usopp going to be a 70-year-old man telling Kaya all the stories that he experienced? Maybe that's what he means, but what are you guys' thoughts?
I like the epilogue idea.
I'm going to be honest, bro. Like, this is going to be harder for some people to hear, but I really think Usopp's going to die.
Same.
I agree.
At what point? At what point?
I think Elbaf.
Whoa, okay.
I think Final War, unless because Elbaf's like the start of the Final War. Do you guys think like it's the beginning of the end?
Yeah, it could be in the Final War too. Yeah.
I mean,
bro, the way he was talking to the samurai and saying, "Oh, you guys are so ready to die," it's like, bro, like Usopp has to die a glorious death, right? He has to become brave, even if it's for one big moment. And I don't know, man. I think out of everyone, Usopp has disappointed me the most out of the Straw Hats in the post-time skip, and I think that could redeem him, for sure.
Really? That's interesting, because I'm the opposite.
I think he's done pretty well.
Not like Usopp pre-skip, but post-skip, I'm there.
I just think that, like that moment where he's, I think he gives like a medicine to, I think it was Toko.
The total, yeah. I thought that was gonna be I thought that was gonna be the cure for Smile, and it would like be a lie, and then it would become like, yeah.
Can we just talk about that? Like the Smile stuff never got any resolution at all.
It will.
So a lot of people took the route that maybe Chopper was gonna find a cure for all the people that ate the Smiles in Wano, and as much as I like that take, I feel like it would serve as a big tragedy to Wano, where those people, that's their life now. Like they have to suffer with that, because it would almost seem counterintuitive if you want to make Wano seem like a lawless, horrible place to then remove the effects of the Smiles on all the people that are suffering. As beautiful as that might look.
I like that. I mean, it's like you can't just get the scars and take them away. You know, they have to grow. You know, stuff like that.
So I'm kind of like on both sides. If Chopper would have found a cure for the Smiles, I wouldn't have complained. I probably would have loved it. But I could see, I'm just assuming that's why Oda didn't find it or give Chopper the cure. That again, they're basically just stuck with those scars.
I find it a little bit odd that we're doing that to a child. Like, because Toko. Yeah, like I can get with it up until Toko, and it's just because of how we treated the kids at Punk Hazard.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, I see where you're coming from. Okay.
I feel like they had more immediacy, like to how they needed to be cured. But it's the same theme, so why didn't we do anything?
Yeah, no, that's I didn't even. I'm gonna be honest. Toko didn't really cross my mind right now. I like that you bring that up because, especially how you even mentioned Punk Hazard, like those kids, we know that I think Law took them in the doctor's room in his ship, and I believe even Chopper was trying to do some things to pull out like diseases in them or whatever. So at least Oda took that direction and took the liberty of having Chopper, you know, one of the main characters in the story, to help the people that are suffering on this island. But as far as on-screen stuff goes, that was basically not the case for Wano.
As I say, it wouldn't be an issue if it wasn't for Toko.
Okay, I get
one thing
that.
I noticed about Wano is like I feel like the community loves Wano as far as like the fans and just the people that I see when I do polls, everyone loves Wano. But I think a lot of YouTubers, a lot of people who covered it weekly, they have a more negative opinion on it. Because I love Wano, bro. Wano's a top 3, top 4 arc in One Piece for me. But I see a lot of people that didn't like it. But when you actually like talk to just more random people and just see the perception of it, I think it's a lot better than what the internet makes it seem.
So I do have to go, but I do want to chime in on that point as well, because I can see personally, I see why a lot of people like Wano. I actually see it. And I would say it depends on what you look for when you read One Piece and what you're invested in. And for me, and this is something I've been sharing with a lot of people, and for those who are not familiar, I have a series that I do on my YouTube channel now that is specifically about what I'm passionate about with One Piece, which is character analysis and in-depth real themes. With Wano, I was invested in Kaido's character. Kaido is a villain, the plot of Wano, and character development for quite a few people. We're talking about Zoro, Luffy. Sanji got involved when I didn't think Sanji would get involved. You know, we talk about Momo. I think Momo had great character development. Long story short, there's a bunch of characters that had been built up to have very strong character moments. And in Wano, I feel like it just about failed in almost all of the big character moments we were looking for outside of Momo. And what kind of poisoned Momo for me was the aging thing. The aging thing poisoned Momo's character for me, because what made Momo such an inspiring character is the fact that he's 8, the fact that he's small, the fact that he's weak, and having the courage and the ability to stand up time on time again to these terrible, terrible experiences and facing a giant behemoth like Kaido head on. That was, to me, the embodiment of Momo's character. And Oda aging Momo to that point where he turns into a giant dragon, while again, I understand why it did, and I understand why people like it, for me specifically as a very character-driven reader, that compromised his character. So not to say Momo's a bad character, but it lightened my joy for Momo's development then. Then, I don't need to get into the Kaido backstory. I mean, my God. Yeah. I'll leave that one alone, because that's we've beat that horse to death, so I'm not gonna do that. You look at Eustace Kid, we talked about that as well in the reverie. I'm not gonna get into that as well. Yamato's character, I mean, an absolute train wreck from Oda in terms of the handling of Yamato's identity, the absolute lack of communication of what Yamato really chooses to identify as, the wars that put a huge distaste on me and Yamato's character to the point where I just stopped caring. We didn't dig into Yamato's character at all. We didn't dig into her identity crisis. We didn't dig into why Yamato was relevant in the story at all. And to top it off, we thought Yamato was relevant because she was going to join the crew, and she didn't join the crew anyway. Did she have good reasons to join the crew, to not join the crew? Yes. But it's the fact that you spent the entire arc tricking the entire fan base along with an identity crisis just for all of that to mean absolutely fucking nothing. a waste of my fucking time. And then you add into the Scabbards, what we just talked about with the Scabbards. You put all of that together and you have a massive amount of character negligence. Not to say that Oda didn't make the story correct or didn't do it right, but for me as a character reader, I was completely dissatisfied from a character perspective in every sense. Completely dissatisfied. When you talk about Gear 5th, you talk about Kaido versus Luffy, the fights, all of that, that's great stuff, and that's what makes it good. Even Sanji. Black Maria stuff pissed me off a little bit. But, you know, we got to a point where I'm like, okay, this is nice character development for Sanji. The Zoro flashback was good. A lot of people don't talk about that. I like the flashback. But, like you said, Threevil, we could have got a shit ton more from Zoro. Shit ton. And we got scraps. For an arc that should have been centered around Zoro, the way of the sword, the samurai, him leading samurai, waste of my time again.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So when you add all of that together, from me reading from a character standpoint, I think my time was wasted with Wano. I generally have a feeling that I was let down aggressively from a character standpoint, not from a plot standpoint. People talk about the plot, that's fine. Fuck the plot, I don't care. that's not what I don't read. I know people think this is crazy. I don't read One Piece for the plot. I don't read it for the plot. I read it for the characters. I read it for the depth. I read it for the psychology. I read it for how Oda makes me feel about the characters, not the plot. I'll be real with y'all, I don't give a fuck what the One Piece is. That is a very crazy and hot take, but I don't give a fuck what it is. I love the journey. I love the journey to the One Piece. I don't give a shit what the One Piece is. Wano did not satisfy me as a reader when it came to my investment in the characters. And you can talk about, oh, you're just a power scaler. Power scaling, bro, I can read Dragon Ball Z if I want power scaling. I can read Jujutsu Kaisen if I want power scaling. I didn't read One Piece for power scaling. So if I did not get the satisfaction that I wanted from, I named 5, including the Scabbards, I named 15 characters that all disappointed me. And I didn't mention Hyogoro. And that, I mean, again, I'm not going to get into this. So for you guys to tell me, and not you guys, when I say you guys, the people that think I don't understand Wano, I do not respect what Oda did with the characters he had in Wano because he sacrificed the characters for the plot of Wano. And people love the plots. They love the theories. I don't give a fuck about theories. I don't give a fuck about the plot. I don't give a fuck about the One Piece, to be honest with you. Lore Piece is wonderful because in the moment, it makes you feel like, oh my God, One Piece is getting bigger. But for the grand scheme of things, I don't give a shit about it. I care about the characters and how they develop. And post-time skip has mainly been about the plot and not the characters. And that's when you lose me. So not to say Wano was bad, not to say that One Piece is falling off, it's the focus that I fell in love with One Piece for has been shifted. And that's all it is. So I will admit there was a lot of great plot stuff and a lot of good things that we got, Gear 5, all of that, which is why Wano will be a 7 to me, but it will only be a 7 because of the lack of character development and character focus that I know Oda is capable of. I only hold Oda to the expectations that I've seen him deliver on for 15 years of my life reading this story. And this is the first time where I felt like Oda failed me as a reader from a character writing perspective. And that's, I don't know if that's a good explanation for somebody, but this is the best way and the most open way I can explain it in a free platform. And that's it. That's my real personal take on Wano. That's it.
No, I can completely understand that, because I think if you were to ask me, like, I could find out what the One Piece is right now, or I could have had Jinbe and Zoro have feature moments in Wano that explained more about them as characters, I would have picked that. Because, like, Jinbe wears the clothes of Wano, Jinbe practices fucking karate, and yet we seem to have this lack of... And one of the things that annoys me, right, is whale sharks in our world, we don't know where they come from, we don't know where their breeding ground is, all we know is, like, about the rough stuff of the animal. We have theories on where they might come from, but we don't actually know. Jinbe is an orphan where we don't know where he came from.
Yeah.
and there's opportunities to develop these characters that are being missed. And Zoro is a prime example as well. Like, we had stuff with the Shimizuki, but we didn't go into it.
Zoro is such a letdown. Wano, man, it's an atrocity. Like, go on, preach.
I was just gonna say, like, I do agree there's some characters that Oda did that he dropped the ball on, but just to have some pushback against what Jay said about the characters, there are problems, but I feel like Odin for me is one of the best written characters. Momonosuke is one of the better written characters in Wano. Even Yamato, I know she had problems and it was annoying and there was issues, but as far as like Yamato was a developed character, and I do like Yamato as far as the writing goes. And then even like Luffy, bro, like this is like Luffy's best arc to me, at least one of the top 3 arcs. So there was definitely problems, but I think there were some good characters that were written well.
There was some good characters. Like I said, Momo was one of them. I think Momo is a wonderfully written character. I think the adult thing only just dampens it a little bit, but overall, Momo's a great character. I think it was a very good character.
That's why, Jay, I like how you pointed out, like, this is an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old. I hardly ever see people put that into perspective. Like, this kid hasn't even hit the double digits. He's knowing his mom's dying. He's watching his father dying, hearing about it. They're telling him, yo, you need to be the president of this country. They're like shoving him all this thing. He's not even 10 years old. And then guess what? He gets sent in time 2 weeks later. Oh, my whole family's dead. I'm in Punk Hazard. Where am I? Like, this is a 9-year-old. So for him to stand up to Kaido and grow as a man and, you know, try to work this devil fruit and being in like this facility where kids are being tested on, like, I absolutely love the character of Momonosuke. And don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily saying he's perfect, but wow, he's a lot better than I think what people make him seem to be.
I agree with that.
One thing that I think Oda did better in this arc, especially compared to like Punk Hazard or even other arcs, he made me care about Wano itself. Like, he made me care about the people, like Tama. Like, when he shows me Tama and the kids and everything, and Yasui and his death, like, I really cared about Luffy. Actually, that's why I said Wano had actually stakes, because I cared about him defeating Kaido. I cared about him saving Wano. And I think a lot of times in like Skypiea, for example, and Punk Hazard, I didn't care. Like, I didn't really care about what was going on, the plot. Like, you say you don't care about the plot, right? But in Wano, he made us care so much about what was going on, and yeah, so that's why I disagree with that.
Go on, Jay.
Me saying I don't care about the plot is a bit aggressive. It's just the plot is not as important to me as other people think it is, right? And if you find a lot of the stories that I love, like my top ones, you think about like Berserk, Hunter x Hunter, all of that, you find, and FMAB, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. While their plots may not be bad, like Hunter x Hunter, the plot is pretty lackluster. If we're gonna be honest, we're really gonna analyze Hunter x Hunter. The plot is pretty lackluster. It's the character focus that really like draws me in. So it's a matter of taste. And to go back to what Priest was saying, Wano Act 1 was good. And I think a lot of people forget Yasue was a brilliant character.
Oh, he was fantastic, bro.
Yasue
he was amazing.
Sensational. I mean,
he was such a good foil for Zoro.
Such a good foil. To me, I thought Yasue was the motivation for Zoro to actually kill Orochi. I'm like,
that meant nothing. And that meant nothing. It meant nothing. That's why, like, One Piece fans will complain about something in the story, and the reason it hurts them, it's because, like, you could have just not put that in the story, but you put that in to lead us into believing like this character Zoro's gonna fight Orochi, he's gonna kill him. No, it was completely pointless. So it almost feels like an insult.
It was frustrating, man, and it just goes to show us like there's a lot of things to say that you didn't like about Wano, but it doesn't mean I cannot say there were great things about Wano. And I think Yasue is one of those great things about Wano. I think the relationship with Otoko, great thing. Like a lot of early Wano was very good. You know, the world building, introducing us to the lore, the world, you know, the what's it called? The headliners. Yes, the headliners, the emotion of Okobore Town, the suffering.
Zoro piping Hiyori.
Yes. Oh, you're toxic. Nah, bro.
Nah, I'm just playing.
Nah, I know. But it's like, you know, all of that stuff, that's good stuff. The starvation, like the panel of Oda people feel like we need some grand chapter about Oda explaining everything in depth like Togashi. We don't. Oda showed us an image of a lady about to kill, or a lady or a man about to kill their baby out of starvation. Sometimes that's all you need to see to understand how dire circumstances are. That you see that and you be like, I'm invested. I feel the emotions. I feel the pain. I feel the fear. That's sometimes all you need. You don't need chapters upon chapters and explanations and dialogue upon dialogue. You know, it's about imagery. It's about how you make the reader feel, you know? And that's, you know, if you read Chainsaw Man or you read Fujimoto's works, Fujimoto's a master of imagery. He will have nothing but a whole panel of no dialogue, but you'll see the emotions of the character. I think Oda is capable of doing that. But once you get to Act 2, you get to Onigashima, you get to the Scabbards, it seems like all of that trickles away because we're moving the plot forward. And if you're not invested in the plot, which I never was, to be honest, I was invested because I thought we were going to get answers. But if I'm not getting no answers and I'm getting more questions, I'm like, all right, well, let's see what the characters are. Oh, the character's not moving me either? All right, well, what's up with Kaido? What's up with the boxing? The boxing's cool, but Kaido's ass, great. Now I'm upset. And that's how we get to where I'm at right now.
Okay, I want to ask you guys, if Usopp gets 0 development at an Elbaf, assuming we have an Elbaf arc, what is your guys' reaction?
That's trash. That's complete trash.
Usopp's a dead baller. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Dead baller.
Yeah, like I said, Usopp, he's been the most disappointing for me in post time skip. The only time God Usopp was funny, that was a good arc for him, but besides that, man, it's been rough for Usopp.
Because like I really again, I'm self-conscious. I think about, okay, am I gauging this correctly? Am I expecting too much? Are my expectations too high? Am I like meat riding Zoro? Like I try to be very fair, but I just really can't get over how, like, exactly how Jay said, like, this is the samurai arc, man. Not only was Ryuma from Wano, which apparently he had a grave that Zoro doesn't care about.
I do want to bring up the Ryuma thing. I do want to bring up the Ryuma
So to quickly just wrap that up, I'm sure you guys know everything I would say, but like when I think about Zoro's place in Wano, you could say, oh, he got Conkers and Enma. Me personally, I don't really give a fuck about those two items. It's just like, I want to see him as a character, man. Is he connected to Green Bull? Is he connected? How is he connected to Shimotsuki's, Ryuma? What's going on with that? Ushimaru, right? So to me, I might be exaggerating here, but I feel like Usopp getting no development in Elbaf is what Oda did Zoro to Wano, or Zoro in Wano. It feels the same.
That's understandable, but like I personally really enjoyed Zoro at the beginning. I really enjoyed Zoro, you know, with Yasui.
It was great.
I thought that was great, and the motivation to kill Orochi, that was great. That didn't happen, but I'm not like fuming because Zoro's not my favorite Straw Hat. I feel like I would be a lot more intense about it if Zoro was my favorite, and I'm not like a Sanji guy either. It's just like I like my favorites are Luffy, Robin, and Usopp. So it's just like Zoro and Sanji aren't like, I'm not like Zoro Sanji centric. So I was like, Zoro was cool, but like for Usopp, since Usopp is a character I'm like really adamantly like invested in, if that happened to Usopp, I would be probably pretty angry, genuinely, because like this has been like almost 1,000 chapters at this point of build up for Usopp and Elbaf, and if nothing happens, it's just like, bro, what are you doing?
Zoro, he's my favorite character in One Piece. And so I'm just like, for me, I see it both sides, because I was really disappointed in the fact that we didn't see more with Ryuma at the end, and that was disappointing. But I do think that the fight with King was probably his best fight in the series, and I feel like that gets looked over, because man, that fight it's everything that I've been waiting for Zoro for the whole post time skip, because we didn't see like a really to the death fight for Zoro, and you know, Sanji to me is a little bit different, because Sanji, there's a lot more, you can say, like, he is better written. I'll even admit that, like, he's better written. But Zoro, to me, I see him and like, he's pure hype. It's fights, it's badass moments, and I think from what I got from Wano, I was satisfied from that side. And man, that King fight with Zoro was just amazing, man.
Yeah, I'll get like cutting that flame dragon. I enjoyed that.
Man, the fact that he's the king of hell and it's like he's now cutting King, who's like he's cutting him with his wing and everything. Like, bro, that has to be the most brutal way to finish somebody off.
Mm-hmm.
Most disrespectful too, bro. He's a Lunarian, and it's like, man, so that's why I love Zoro and Wano. But at the end, I agree. Like the Ryuma stuff, man, we got to see more from that.
Nidai Katetsu.
I personally think that the Ryuma stuff is like some end of series epilogue, because I never personally expected him to see Ryuma at the arc, because I thought Ryuma was the world's strongest swordsman before Mihawk, right? Like we don't know about any in between. So I assume Zoro would visit Ryuma's grave once he is the world's strongest swordsman. So it'd be even a more powerful connection for the two to finally meet. And I know some people might think I'm like coping, but I just didn't expect it to happen. I generally didn't expect it to happen in the arc. I was like, oh, that's cool if it does happen.
It's just,
but
the
I'm
fact
not
that
like,
oh, go ahead.
I wasn't like 100% like, oh, this has to happen. I'll be like, oh, that's cool. But if it doesn't happen in the epilogue, which I'm saying I think it will, I think that is a missed opportunity.
But I think it's more so the fact that he just said he wants to see it and go to the grave and it's like he had Ryuma for this whole, or he had what was the sword called? Shisui. He had the sword that whole time, and that fight with Ryuma in Thriller Bark, it was actually a really cool fight, and seeing the interactions where he respected him. But so I think that's where it comes from, where people wanted to see that moment specifically because he said it.
Yeah, like a lot of people will give I think it was UKEV, they'll give you pushback because they'll say like, I don't want to hear about Ryuma stuff in Laugh Tale. Wano is where Ryuma's from. Like, why didn't we hear about it during Wano? So I think that's like where a lot of like the anger or like resentment or disappointment lies. You know, sometimes you don't want to have to hear about Kaido's flashback in God Valley all the way in fucking who knows Elbaf.
That's I didn't mean like in Laugh Tale. I just meant like genuinely like, because I feel like a lot of people, because it's like Log Town, I feel like we're gonna get an epilogue where we see where every character ends up, right? Yeah. And so that's kind of what I'm saying. It's not gonna be like at Laugh Tale. It might be like years and years and years later. Okay. I think he'll have a scene where he's at Ryuma's grave. Is what I'm like getting at.
You want here? My cope is even crazier, bro. Because ever since Big Mom said that Wano is the One Piece or whatever she said, the One Piece is in Wano. For me now, every time we don't get revealed something in Wano, I just assume that it has something to do with Laugh Tale, the Void Century. So I'm just like assuming Ryuma has to be, bro. Like so that's kind of how I see it. Yeah, rocks exactly. So a lot of the things that we didn't see, I kind of just it's my code, bro. So like, okay, now we're gonna see it at the end at Laugh Tale, whatever. So it has to be important to the One Piece. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, that also stumped me. It's like, why, Big Mom? Why even give that? Like, why even have that panel? Like saying like, oh, a piece of the One Piece is in Wano. Like to me, that almost felt pointless.
Yeah.
That was
or am I misunderstanding the moment? It might be me.
It was just so random. Yeah.
I think it was meant to hype up the ancient history that was going to come with Robin and Law later on with Sukiyaki.
Hitetsu.
Was what?
Hitetsu? I guess it's the same name, Sukiyaki Hitetsu.
Okay, because right then I was like, shit, have I got it proper wrong? Like, because it's possible. All these names, it's possible. Yeah, I think it was meant to just set that up.
Okay.
But I agree that the wording of it and the timing of it made it seem more significant than it ended up being. Like, if you're gonna have something be a character's basic last words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, it's gotta be relevant. It's got to be strong and powerful, but it just seemed to relate more to what happened with Robin, Law, and Sukiyaki. So
yeah, I am glad that like Hitetsu and was it Tenguyama Hitetsu, Kazuki Sukiyaki. I'm glad they were the same character because I felt like there were so many clues to that. And like, not to be biased, like, oh, I got my theory right, but like, you know, at the end of the day, as a One Piece fan, you kind of feel fulfilled when you pick up on these little clues and you notice, oh, they got the same voice actor. Oh, is this like a play on the return of the king, like how you see every single arc? I really enjoyed that. And it wasn't only like, oh, I'm alive. We actually got to see him take Robin and Law to nearly Pluton, I guess, the ancient city of Wano. I really enjoy how that was done.
Yeah, that was very cool.
And you know, with that too, I had a theory before. It was about Hitetsu and Orochi and Kaido. Is because like, to me, the way I always saw it was when we saw Odin right before he danced. They were talking about his dad. Like, what happened with my dad? And then right after that, just cuts him dancing. So to me, that always implied that like he used his dad's life as leverage or some kind of, way to get Odin to do what he wants. And then it kind of makes sense because like they knew that he could read the poneglyphs, that they could figure that out. Then of course they put him in that room with the poneglyph, and of course they keep him locked up.
I feel that.
All right, I gotta go to bed. I'm clocking out now.
I appreciate you being here.
All good.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me. Yo, appreciate you guys as well. It's been a great day. One Piece,
sure,
of
man.
course. So I will catch you guys later, and hopefully this is not the last time I'm on your channel, Threeville.
Oh, for sure, bro. Hit me up whenever, man.
Of course, brother. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night.
All right, take it easy, man.
Take care.
All right. Any other things you guys want to throw out there? We could talk about whatever.
Man, how was the reverie, man?
I thought it was it's not like last reverie wasn't fun. Obviously it was, but wow, this one was just, I was getting a word in. We were all just throwing hot takes, a lot of jokes. Like I genuinely, like on or off screen, like I genuinely enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go rewatch or watch it because I only tuned in for the last like 30 minutes, maybe last like 40 minutes. So I'm gonna go watch it.
For sure. You could throw it on probably like 2x speed. That's like the meta on YouTube. Just watch it in 2x speed, man.
That's very ADHD of you.
I know, bro. I do that with long videos, like long theories. If I see something, I just let it play in the background.
Nah, I can't do that to my attention span. Like like
You know
my
what it
attention
is?
span
Like,
is so bad as it is. Like it doesn't need any more encouragement to be bad.
I'll say this, like when I do that, it kind of sucks because then once you go back to like a normal pacing, normal talking, bro, it's like slow. It feels so slow, bro. Like when I'm just talking to someone, yeah, it feels slow. Like, man, like it does kind of mess with you. Like when you talk to people and then you just listen to like a full like hour-long podcast on times 1.5 speed. It's like now everything feels different, bro. Like
my one friend,
yeah.
My one friend, he's like super into like TikTok and stuff, and now he can't watch long videos. He literally just can't because he just only watches TikToks, and it's like, oh my god, bro.
Like I know I'm saying it as like a throwaway, but I'm being so serious about the attention span thing. Like you can change your attention span to be very similar to like literal ADHD, and it's not good for the human. Like that's why I don't even have TikTok anymore, because like no, it's bad for me.
It's just so fast paced, yeah. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Randy.
What's going on, man?
Savage.
Oh,
Savage indeed.
I did want to get this out in the reverie, but I depression napped instead. Sugar and her fruit. I feel like Dressrosa had like a mini Void Century theme to it, and like some of the themes that went down kind of feel like they're themes that have gone down, similar to Skypiea. And I felt like Sugar's fruit and the powers of her fruit were going to be really significant towards Imu. So Sugar has eternal youth, the ability to wipe memories, and the ability to subjugate people. And that just feels too close to home when I think about Imu. And I started thinking about this Void Century stuff and like how the Tontata don't have records for the Void Century and the shape of the red line. And I was wondering, what if at some point the red line was actually necessary? Like what if at some point there was a level of flooding or a level of land control issue that the red line meant that was kind of like an arc of such? Because there's a lot of arcs in One Piece. We get the Pluton, potentially could be one.
Noah,
Get the arc Mechtham, we get the Noah. Like we get a lot of these kind of arc situations. And I was wondering, like, what if the red line originally was a type of arc in its own right? Because like, why do the records stop for the non-Tata? And if it isn't like that, then that means there must be some kind of memory ability that's happened that was able to wipe either these records or the memories out of people so that they would forget a specific person or specific events. So what I'm wondering is, what if something similar to Sugar's fruit happened to Joy Boy? Because we were able to remember Kuros as a statue, but people couldn't remember who he was. They didn't have the context. But they could read it, they could learn about him, they just didn't have the context of who it actually was. What if that's the same for Joy Boy?
This is fat. I really like this.
Yeah,
This is really,
it
really
was a good take.
I think it was the paintings. I forgot what her name was. In the Doflamingo family, there was a lady who did the art.
Jola.
Yeah,
Jola,
and they said like this is kind of similar to the Void Century or something, or the history.
Yeah, with the one closed eye and the one open eye. I remember that.
It looked like the whole dawn kind of aspect on the painting as well.
Yeah. Man, and just going to Sugar, man, whenever I think about it, it's crazy how broken her fruit was. Like that has to be one of the most underrated fruits.
See, it seems like if you pull out the microscope, it seems a little iffy. Do you guys feel like if you have substantial hockey, that the fruit basically does nothing against you?
It's interesting because Danshin Zhao, I think, became a toy, right? And he had like conquerors and stuff. So it's like,
okay.
I don't know. Maybe it depends, but I don't necessarily. I don't know. I feel like Oda did that just for Law to have a cool moment, which he obviously did. But I don't know. It's a really interesting like gray area because it makes you think like how strong is hockey really if you could just if some fruits do work, if some fruits don't work. For like sugar is a fantastic example of it.
Yeah.
I think we didn't see someone with a strong enough level of haki. Like, although Donjin Zhao has conquerors, like, I just wouldn't put him up there as one of, like, the people capable of resisting other devil fruits either. Like, Laws is a prime example. I don't see him avoiding Law's effects. Like, I don't see that. Yeah. So I can't see it with Sugar either. But I think if we had someone that was like strong enough and knew what was going on, that's the other premise. They have to know what's going on. They have to know that they've got to resist it. Because it's only a touch for Sugar.
All right, so I'm, still super fried from doing the full reverie and everything. Ask me, like one question. I'm gonna give an answer, and then I'm going to sleep.
Law's fate right now. Where's Law? What's his status?
Law's fate. Where is he now? What's his status? All right. So everything that I basically see with Law is that I think that Blackbeard needs to capture him. I think that he needs to be placed in a cell next to Pudding so that they can have a conversation about Big Mom and Big Mom's fate. This is a situation that could tie into what we were talking about earlier in the Reverie, where Pudding could actually reveal by having a piece of Big Mom's vivre card that she's not actually dead. So everybody calling Law the killer of Big Mom and all of that stuff may not necessarily chime out. Now, what Law also needs is he needs to be he needs to at some point be in the same vicinity as Kobe so we can get that sweet Rocky Port lore, and also by doing so, that's what's going to prime him to be in exactly the same spot as Garp, as Kuzan, as Kobe, and just feed that really spicy sword agenda. So
we're here for it.
When it comes to the vivre card, I posted this earlier, but Pudding rips up a piece of paper in the cover page. So it's possible she did have the vivre card.
Yeah, what color? Oh yeah, you could look in the group chat, Randy. To the left of Pudding's hands.
Yeah, 10. Yeah. Yep.
But
so we're thinking the thing floating away is the vivre card.
Yeah,
but that could also be construed as it burning away from Big Mom potentially dying in that moment.
Yeah,
that could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing about the Rocky Port incident is like, yeah, I guess you could take the side like you're on the fence, like, does this really matter? Is Oda gonna bring it back up? But then once we saw Blackbeard entering in an Amazon Lily and having that whole conflict with Boa, Blackbeard mentioned it again and added a little bit more spice to it. So surely it's gonna be something that is more important than what it is now. Like, I think it's going to be brought up again. There's probably going to have a full flashback. It doesn't have to be like multiple chapters, but definitely it's going to be built upon even more.
I'm just excited for all of it. Like, even the, you know, even if the Law and Sword thing never actually pans out, I really only need Garp to be in Sword. That's what the main theory was really based around anyway. Like, yeah, I called it like Law's secret connection, but like I spend like probably more than half of the video talking about Garp, and that's it doesn't get anywhere without Garp being in Sword, in my opinion. But
there was still that weird interaction with Drake and Hawkins and Law.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, there's so many connections to it that make it really possible, but even if Oda doesn't go that route with it, just the idea that we got this far, that I've had the theory, 956 came out, in 2019, and there's not been any solid evidence to debunk this one way or the other, is just like so absurd to me. And now all of these forces are going to be in the same place at the same time without Straw Hat interference. Like, this is the time. This is the year of Sword. Like, if it's going to happen, it's now.
I feel that.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you think Sword...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, what do you think Sword's involvement on Elbaf's going to be? Do you think that's going to be like a way for them to regroup away from the government, or do you think they're not involved in Elbaf? Like,
I think there's a good chance that Garp, if he's meeting up with Kobe, if Kuzan has some kind of information on Sword and, you know, Law, if he's in it, like, with all of this coming together, I do think Garp's going to say something more about Sword. And then as far as that too, I also think Garp is going to, I think he's going to see Blackbeard and look at him and remember rocks. Like, it's like when they see Luffy, they remember Roger, right? But Garp, I think it's going to be the opposite. Like, he's going to remember rocks, and it's going to remind him of the past.
That's fire. Basically, what you're saying, like how Rayleigh looked at Luffy, saw Roger. I like that.
Yep.
Oh, that would be perfect. Oh,
especially because, do you remember in the God Valley chapter, they even said, like, history repeats itself. So,
yes.
And Blackbeard's at the same island, you know, and he's getting the same, or he's getting like a similar crew. You know, there's just a lot of similarities. The Will of D, you know.
Yeah. I'm like stunned right now. This is too perfect.
Yeah, it's just, I don't see any way Blackbeard takes a flat out loss to Garp unless he gains something massive in the process. Like, you know, Oda's never going to have a character take a major L when Oda's building up that character to fight Luffy anyways. Like, look at what Oda did to Kaido. How do we meet Kaido? He jumps off of a sky island to kill himself and fails. World's strongest creature. Like, that's why, to me, like, I get it. Garp was tussling with Roger back in the day. But that's 25 years ago, man. And Blackbeard's being set up to be this grand antagonist, the battle for Pirate King. I just can't really imagine a way where Garp just gets flat out defeated along with his crew, not to mention, without some kind of gain for him in the process.
You think Garp could die?
I think it's possible.
That's on the table, but I don't know. I'd rather hear what you guys have to say on that one.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't know, man. It's tough. Like, I think one way that, because I talked about this in the video too, is if, what was that?
I was just saying it really just depends on if it's the time for Garp to die. Like, I think Garp should and could die in the story, but is it now?
Yeah.
Now, away from Luffy, away from some of the people that really should be there to either witness it. Mm-hmm. You know, there's certain ways that Oda, like if he went about all of this stuff here and had a major death that Luffy had to hear about, like, you know, just offhand, just tangentially, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, finding out about Cobra dying, like, yeah, he was a nice guy that fed him, but finding out that Garp died, like that's Ace level. So
Yeah.
it's, you know, that's the difference. You know, we need something like some sort of mentor figure. Like I feel like, you know, we need the Obi-Wan effect. We need someone that was close to Luffy or trained Luffy at some point in the story to like die in front of him, whether it's his fault or not, to really like amp some stakes, whether that's Garp, whether that's Rayleigh, whether, you know, it's just something needs to drop in the final just saga of all of it. Shanks, you know, like if people have theorized, you know, just about all of them, something needs to happen, but it's always a matter of timing. So it's almost more likely to me that if anything happens with Garp, it's more of a fake out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I
gone
agree.
preach.
Like, no, I was gonna say like it's. I don't think it's likely that he dies, but I just think that if it does go that way, if he's dying to save Kobe, like that's a good motivation for Kobe in the future. And not only that, but like Blackbeard too, because you know Blackbeard was partially responsible for what happened with Ace, and now Luffy has to take down the man who's been essentially fighting his family, and that'll be a lot more motivation for Luffy too.
Yeah, I'm really happy that this isn't like, because I feel like a lot of people were worried about this. It would be like a Marineford 2.0. Sabo would get captured. It would be just complete, like, this is kind of like Marineford, but like so different, because Blackbeard's like the big bad and he's capturing a Marine. It's like, instead of a Marine's capturing a pirate or killing, you know, a Marine. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
So, you know,
So,
like
guys,
fans go on.
I gotta sleep, but I did want to, since this was, you know, it's marketed as the Reverie after party. I felt like let me slide in real quick.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, take care, everybody.
Good reverie.
All right, you too, man.
Take it easy, man. You did a great job, bro.
Yeah, it was
You
amazing.
did too. All right.
Appreciate it, man.
Chrissy and I were talking about that also. You know, your performance was noted.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yep. Later, brother.
All right, take it easy, man. Just to kind of quickly bounce back on to the Garp situation. I'm sure you guys know, like, fans have always spearheaded Luffy, Dragon, and Garp. Those are going to be three guys working together in the final war. That can just be thrown completely out the window. And yeah, I get it's a theory, but that's completely out the window if Garp dies to Blackbeard right now. And like, if you try to contextualize it that way, Garp living through the battle against Blackbeard, and then Garp works with Dragon and Luffy in Final War. Does Garp die in Final War? Because then you'd have like an ending of the story where like Luffy's figuring out his grandfather's dead, and I don't know if that's like the happiest note.
Yeah, and I also feel like Garp and especially Garp, but also Dragon, they have to face the Godosei at some point. They have to fight them.
Agreed. Garp's always been hating Celestials.
Yeah.
I think it all depends on how the different factions that need to clash. So, like, for me, I know it sounds odd, but I don't really see Luffy needing to fight the world government as an entity. I see that he might have some battles with someone like Imu, but I don't see the world government as a structure that's something Luffy really gives a shit about. And, like, so to me, it would be more interesting if Garp and Dragon were leading the attack on reframing the world government and bringing down the Celestial Dragons.
That's something.
Luffy,
Yeah, that's something that I've tried warming up to, because I always felt like, man, Imu and the world government, they're like the catalyst for the whole story. If we didn't have like these 20 kingdoms come together, form the world government, and like eradicate Joy Boy, hide the One Piece potentially, stop the poneglyphs, all that kind of stuff, it feels like if it wasn't for Imu, this story wouldn't even exist. So I'm trying to warm up to the idea that perhaps, you know, despite all that, like what you're saying, Dragon can take that on because it's Dragon's role to go into the whole politics side of the story, and then maybe Luffy can just go towards the Blackbeard side, and maybe that those two things can go on simultaneously.
Well, this is the thing. I feel like what a really cool moment would be is that Luffy is like literal giant Gear 5th, knocking down the red line, while
Crazy, bro.
Dragon is taking on the Celestial Dragons and evacuating the people under them that have no like relation, because there's a whole city of Marajwa. It's not just the Celestial Dragons,
Right.
so like for Dragon to be liberating the people directly under them whilst Luffy is destroying the red line for whatever reason, maybe it's to do with Fishman Island stuff, I don't know, but like them simultaneously taking the same objective down whilst taking completely different narrative aspects down, like one the actual people and one the physical boundary, I think that'd be really cool. And I think that'd be a great way to tie Dragon into Luffy's goals and Luffy into Dragon's, without it being like Luffy has to give a shit about these people because they gave him some food. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to go through that.
That would be like one of Luffy's biggest feats, because bro, being realistic, the red line is so unbelievably massive. Like, I feel like people forget how huge it is. Like, there's a moment in the story, bro, there's a moment in the story where like a ship is like the size of like a pinky nail in comparison to like this 20-yard wide mountain, and then it even extends below the ocean, but we won't even go into that. So Luffy, bro, the size like of Luffy's body that he would have to be in order to destroy that would be insane.
Yeah, and I think something like that has to happen. Whether we get help from an ancient weapon, and that's the true purpose of the ancient weapons, is to bring the red line down. I'm not sure, but I do feel like there has to be this moment where we don't go back, we go through. Because at the moment we have to go back to get to Fishman Island.
Yeah.
You know, like to get to One Piece, like there's a lot of like, okay, we've got to go back, and I don't think that makes sense. I think Luffy wants to go through, and that makes sense for Laboon, because that means because Laboon can't go through, he needs a way to go through. Like, we have to go back right now, and that doesn't make sense.
And also with the prophecy of Luffy destroying Fishman Island, like, you can't really pull that off if he doesn't go back into that vicinity anyways. And seeing how the red line is like right above Fishman Island, I suppose Luffy destroying the red line could have like these big rocks and boulders come falling down and crushing Fishman Island. That could fulfill the prophecy.
Well, what you got to remember is there's like what appears to be, it could be natural, but what appears to be a man-made hole in the red line, which Fishman Island is directly under or to the side of.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Okay.
So like that hole is not natural to me. It's a perfect circle.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Who would carve a perfect circle into the red line of all things? Yeah, that's a huge red flag.
It's a huge red flag when even the giants can't. To me, that's the Ancient Kingdom. To me, the Ancient Kingdom did that, and there was either a reason that the two halves of the world were separate, or the Ancient Kingdom like made the red line into a system to limit the amount of people going to and from each half of the world. Whether that connects into the endless lobby hole or not, I don't know. But there are ancient carvings on Reverse Mountain that suggest it has significant historical backlog. It's not, it's not new.
Do you think that the poneglyphs could be similar too? Because it's like the red poneglyphs and then the carvings and stuff.
I think when it comes to the poneglyphs, they have to be from the Ancient Kingdom, and I don't think they're actually to do. It depends who the Ancient Kingdom is, but I think Joy Boy is an ally rather than like an ancient king. Like for a long time, I remember the community used to believe that Joy Boy and the Ancient Kingdom were synonymous, and it's only really been recently, in the last 2-3 years, where people have let go of that. So like, it depends how that all goes.
Yeah, it's
synonymous.
Possible the Lunarians or the kings or like a different race.
I assume they're an offset of the Sky People. To be honest with you, if not, The other thing that I've thought about recently is Vegapunk's technology is like meant to be really ahead, but it's also meant to be based on the ancient kingdom. So what if they did have cloning stuff? What if the Lunarians themselves are the highest piece of technology ever created by the ancient kingdom, and they're actually like basically the pacifista of the ancient kingdom?
That would make a lot of sense because
fascinating.
Vegapunk's being portrayed as trying to catch up to the Void Century in the Ancient Kingdom. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I was thinking about that kind of recently with the Seraphims showing up, and basically, like, even though it's not real Lunarians, since they have Lunarian DNA, it's like kind of recreating the race that they like killed off, and it that's such a fascinating way of looking at it because like the way they view their history, the Lunarians were in charge. Maybe they were like, you know, obviously there's a lot of people and like sci-fi who write about like robot uprisings and they take over, you know, because they were made by people, and then Lunarians could be like that. And now it's like kind of like coming full circle, but sort of different, where they're subservient still. It's really interesting.
Well, what you got to remember is Shandora is before the Void Century, so a lot of people get a little bit muddly on the 800 to 900 being the Void Century, because we get Zanisha and Shandora that are before that, and so they're like, they assume it's all kind of together, but it's actually hundreds of years apart. So Shandora was a thriving community 1,500 years ago, which places it well before the Void Century. So if we do have an uprising and a war between the allied kingdoms and the Sky People, and the Lunarians are a relatively new thing that's made to kind of combat that issue, like it's all muddy, but there's different ways it can go. It's not linear. A lot of people think that it's like this very linear thing where the Lunarians must be part of the Sky Race, full stop. But we only see 3 races in the moon paintings. There's no reason to assume the Lunarians are as old as the Sky People or part of the Sky People directly. They could be, like I'm saying, they could be like these excessive clones that Vegapunk seems to work on too.
Like a lineage factor kind of experiment where they like fuse the Sky People DNA with some fire power, maybe the Marimaro no Mi, and now they made this.
That's insane.
Mm.
This is a little off topic.
Yeah.
Do you guys care about the liquor iron ore? Like, that feels like a completely like forgettable plot line now.
I did at the start. Like, I really was pushing like Onigashima is like filled with this stuff, so the revolutionaries might come to Wano, and it has some connection to like the One Piece, because I thought maybe Binks's sake, liquor, you know, some like, it's hard to remember it all right now because it's like a kind of old video, but stuff like that I feel like, oh, that could be cool. But I feel like, yeah, it was just kind of just like through what's called swept under the rug. Like, it's not that relevant. It might be in the future, but I just personally don't think it is.
I think there were loads of lore parts of materials that were just stat on in Wano, because we had the poneglyphs themselves that really didn't get much exposition in Wano, which should have, because that's where apparently they're sort of from. We didn't get any explanation on the iron ore. We didn't get any explanation on Pyroblin properly, and that seemed to be like in Egghead, but like that should be in Wano as well, because that's where Seastone comes from. Like, there was a lot of problems when it came to some of the like world building lore stuff in Wano.
Also, with Kaido's favorite island, like, I was like, man, are we gonna get some of these? Like, I don't even know if I should still have them in my mind at this point.
Yeah, I remember someone sent a theory to me. I think it was like a month ago about the island, Kaido's favorite island, the snow island, right? And it looked like it had a snowman on it. And it's this kind of long theory about how like Drake is like really important, and I like Drake, so I was like, oh, that sounds cool. But like you're saying, like, is this island even going to be relevant like ever? Because Kaido, you know, for all intents and purposes right now, he's out of the picture. He might be back, you know, later. But like all these sort of like little plot points are like becoming like, how relevant are they even going to be in the future, you know?
Well, like
Yeah.
the biggest thing for me that didn't get answered in 1.0, that's like this plot point kind of thing, is what are the poneglyphs made of?
Yeah.
Like they can only be
Yeah.
carved by the stonemasons of 1.0. So there's a specific method to the stonemasonry in 1.0, which means they can carve poneglyphs. But we know they're not necessarily sea stone because people seem to be able to touch them without much problem that a devil fruit uses, like Brook when he does the rubbings. So like they're something different, but they're also something that's like we don't know. And like I just feel like 1.0 was the place to explain that. 1.0 was the place to be like, oh well, sea stone is when it's made underwater, but when this material is made in the air, like out of the volcano, it makes these kind of rocks, which are also really strong, but they release earth energy rather than sea energy. Like anything, like just anything.
I really did love the point about what is in the poneglyph. I thought that was so clever because I never have thought about that before, and it was just like, whoa, wait, what is in that? Like, why are they cubes? Because the other sides don't have stuff on them. It was just really fascinating. I really like that point.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That might just be something where Oda's like, hey, there's this cube, there's this big rock, they write on it, deal with it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just
I hope
everything else
not.
about like material. I'm gonna be like, oh, these are this and this is this, but this no, not this.
Hope not. Feel like
Um,
Enel will return to assist Luffy because Enel is a conductor of electricity. Pluton requires requires a source of constant electricity. Says Bomb Squad.
I think that's a cool
Um,
idea. Yeah.
It depends on what Pluton's like, because we don't know if it needs electricity yet.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
a bit
more.
speculative.
Yeah.
I did. Oh, you can go. Yep.
No, it's okay.
I was gonna mention Hidden mentioned earlier today about the idea of how Skypiea is the only place is so far in One Piece with like electricity, and how the One Piece world outside of Skypiea doesn't have electricity. I thought that was a really interesting like connection. How there's no rubber in Skypiea, there's no electricity on the Blue Sea, right? But if Pluton does happen to have like electricity, that could be a really cool way to tie Enel, Skypiea, the Birkins and lore and all that, maybe even a Rouge back into the main narrative. I think that could be a really cool way to like slide them back in. Not like effortlessly, obviously, because we don't know when we're gonna see Pluton since it's still at Wano. But I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting if it goes in that angle.
Yeah. It's crazy we don't even have like a full understanding of Enel's backstory. We never even saw young Enel. We don't even know what that Sky Island looked like how he knew how to make Pluton or the Arc Maxim. I know like people
Yeah.
have said that he had blueprints or something, but I couldn't find the panel. It's like I feel like what's up?
I've been struggling to find it too. I've been looking for a panel which explains how he found the Art Maxim, but all I can find is that he made gods, knights make them or whatever they're
Yeah.
called, people for him.
But then that begs
Like-
the question, like, how did he know how? It seems something very sophisticated. How did he, like, he doesn't seem like Tom. He doesn't seem like Frankie. How did he even pull that off?
Yeah, it's so intricate too, and it has like this statue in it. It's so detailed.
With the world government logo and it's specifically powered by electricity. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think Enel is like the most brightest shipwright. I don't know how he pulled that off.
I've decided to my own sleeping pattern because I can't sleep at night thinking about this shit. When it comes to Enel and the Art Maxim, it was mentioned that Berka has a national treasure, and that's it. That's enough for me to sleep. Like, there is a
Oh,
national treasure mentioned. I assume that could either be the Rumble no Mi itself, or the Art Maxim plans, or something. Like, that'll do for me.
could you
that-
actually find that panel for me?
Yeah,
I would love
could.
to see that.
Um,
But continue what you were saying though,
I just
or Preach, whoever.
I just want to see like why Enel is the way he is too, because we were talking about this at the beginning of the stream. It's like his character is so unique and it's like the god complex and everything. You know, he feels like he wanted to push people back down into the earth. So there could be something more to this, and I don't know, man. Like, I just think there has to be something more with Enel. Out of all the villains, I feel like he was the least fleshed out as far as why he was doing these things. Was it just purely out of just his own personality and his own character? But I think he could have a lot more developments.
And that's even after taking into account that not everyone needs this crazy deep story, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a crazy deep story. Just his view of the One Piece world is so unique. It's so different from everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And like, he just had to be the major antagonist of Skypiea, which, like, we all know, like, that's like a gold mine when it comes to One Piece theories and speculations. This is like, okay, you have Skypiea, the whole Jaya thing, Shandora, poneglyphs, and then we know that the poneglyph in Skypiea told us where Poseidon was. All this stuff just to have us get an antagonist with like little to no explanation. Like, the most we knew is like this random officer on Skypiea was like, oh yeah, 6 years ago Enel had his fruit, and like that's it. And it was just like, huh, like, why couldn't we get like young Enel walking around and bite the fruit or something? Like, that would have felt like a little bit more fulfilling without needing to spend like 20-30 chapters developing him.
One idea that me and Wizard of Wars had is maybe Enel had like the lightning fruit, and he had it since he was a baby. You know, like how you said, he accidentally ate it, and so that's why he thinks he's a god, because they always worshipped him since he was so young.
Yeah, so I would wonder how that would connect, because during pre-time skip, the officer on Skypiea said he ate it 6 years ago. So maybe he's wrong with that, or maybe I don't know.
That,
if it is the child thing, that'd be really interesting, because Doflamingo got his fruit when he was a kid as well. I think that would be a really cool connection.
I like that.
Yeah, man. I used to think he was a celestial dragon too. Enel. Like,
that's not a bad take.
I'm always just looking for a reason to understand why he's fully bought into the god complex. You know what I mean?
Actually, let me see this.
You know,
That might be the wrong page.
Who's the one talking about Burka missing that you just said?
Yeah, I think that might be the wrong page.
The other thing I wanted to mention is, it seems that, like, Enel doesn't have wings. He's got, like, the drum things instead. But if I remember correctly, Gongful doesn't have them either, right?
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, and even the god before, the one from like 200 years ago, didn't have it.
So, like, do you think there's something important about the wings coming off when it comes to God? Because, like, one of the things that a lot of people suggest with Imu is that they could be related to Sky People, and people are like, oh, but they don't have wings. But what if they're a previous god? They wouldn't have wings.
Yeah.
I posted from the wiki. Maybe me plus whoever wrote that, because it said on the wiki, it says 6 years ago, before the start of the series, Enel found the Goto no Mi and ate from it, gaining such powers, blah blah blah. But like, in that page I sent, maybe I could pull it up on screen real quick. It just says that his island disappeared 6 years ago. It doesn't necessarily say that he ate the fruit 6 years ago. So technically, your idea with the baby, Enel having the baby, that's actually still up in the air. Like, I actually really like that, because you know, Enel plays into the idea Emu.
Yeah,
definitely. Maybe I'm just like fever dreaming it because I'm like in need of an answer. Like,
you were talking about the wings, and it could be possible, like a ritual, like to become a god in Skypiea, you have to be higher than the Skypieans, so you take off your wings, or like some kind of ritual, because we saw they
maybe
had
like
rituals.
cut their wings off.
Yeah, because you remember the Shandians, I think, or the Shandorans, they had the sacrifice, the rituals.
Yeah, where they were gonna like sacrifice the lady.
Yeah.
I could buy into that whole Enel's god concept, especially since him being I I can buy into the idea of Enel being a god and raised that way, because when you think about the taiko drums that are surrounding Enel, that's clearly like a shout out to Raijin. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Raijin.
And we know like that's a literal god. So, I mean, you're not. You should definitely make a video on that if you haven't already.
We do. It's the God Valley theory. If you type of Marshall D. Here, let me find it. Marshall D. Preach.
Yeah, drop it in the stream chat.
God Valley. It's a long one, but there is a section in it where we talk about NL mostly for like, I think like 2 or 3 minutes. Wizard of Wars did that one.
Okay.
But yeah, it's something that we've been thinking about for a while. And it's just like NL, he's such an interesting character, man. Like I would love to see him come back.
100%.
Yeah. I think I said earlier, I feel like Skypiea is like a mini Void Century. Like we get to see the themes of what happened in the Void Century happen again. And like I was just looking back to find the Enel stuff, but I found something else that's more interesting. There's a panel I'm looking at where Garnfall says, "Are we the evil ones?" And then someone tries to reassure him to be like, you know, you shouldn't worry about this. Like, and he says, yeah, but the Shandorans just want their homeland back. Our prosperous life on Skypiea is only possible because 400 years ago, our ancestors took over Upper Yard. But isn't it our duty to continue the battle, to protect the prosperous land? And then he's saying, yeah, but 400 years ago, it might have been us, it might have been them. And to admit that one side lost, too much time may have already passed. And like, I'm wondering if that relates to the Void Century in terms of the Red Line. And people fought over it to have supremacy over the sea because it was all-encompassing. It's the one way that you can guarantee that you have control over the sea is if you control the Red Line. Because you control who goes into the Grand Line and all the greatest riches are there. So 800 years ago, it might have been us, it might have been them, could be the same for Imu.
That's an interesting thought for sure.
I was just thinking, as far as Skypiea, it's called a Godland Skypiea. When you go up the cloud elevator, or whatever it's called, the waterfall, you see like the Godland. And I was just thinking, like, you think that was always there, or do you think Enel put it there, or like, what's up with like the holy references to Skypiea, the angels, you know what I mean?
So I think that might have always been there, because you guys feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Gonfall labeled as the Kami before Enel?
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah, he was.
So I mean, Kami means God, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It does.
So maybe I would assume it was already there, but
I think the Godland like part for the I don't know, it's not the knockup stream, but like the thing it leads after the knockup stream, right? It's so interesting because after Skypiea, they literally try and make it more and more like a theme park. I think that's really, really neat. And it feels like that's something that would be put after because it's so like over the top and like, you know, just like extra. And I feel like with characters like Gonfall and like the previous gods, it seems like it's not in their character, but with Enel, you know, he's such a braggadocious, you know, guy. He's like, I'm God, you know, this is my land, you know. I feel like he could have put it there, but I feel like it's also like very likely that they put it there as like, this is the land of gods because they appreciated the ones before Enel, you know. It was like a sign of honor, like you're here now. I think it's really interesting because you could look at it in like so many different ways, because like I said, after the entire Skypiea arc, they kind of started to embrace the theme park-esque thing with like the big entry fee and all that. Maybe it's because Luffy and all the people from the Blue Sea went to the Sky Island and just assumed more people would be showing up. Who knows though? I think that's interesting.
for sure.
I think the other interesting thing is that kind of relates to like Luffy and Joy Boy as counterparts is like there's a part in Amazon Lily where Luffy's explaining how he just turned up and he fell from the sky, into Amazon Lily, and Boa's like, that's an interesting story you're telling. And that reminds me of like Roger reading the story of Joy Boy. So I wonder if Joy Boy fell out the sky and he's actually linked to all of this in that way. And he's like, no, I don't agree with this stuff. I've you know, then to me, I'll try and find the panel, but there must be something linked towards Joy Boy's story being funny because how he fell into it in a way. Like, it wasn't necessarily just a fate or a destiny, but also like there must be something to it that makes it happenstance.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, that's where it gets tricky, right? Because it goes down to destiny or fate or whatever you want to call it, and then, but it does seem like there is something with the Will of D, the Celestial Dragons, and it just feels like there's something with fate being tied into everything, with at least with those two people.
100%.
I do think that when it comes to fate and destiny in One Piece, it's a toss-up for me, because on one hand there has to be a large element of it for this whole 800-year clock to be ticking, and on the other hand I feel like that dialogue from Kaido where he's like, oh, so you couldn't be Joy Boy either, is kind of revealing the fact that like that's more of a title than a true entity, and that Luffy happens to be that person because of the will of the zone attracting him, because of his own ideals, because of things that he is innately, but the timing is right for that will to become the dream rather than just the want.
Yeah, it's like Luffy is like a legend. I mean, Joy Boy is like a legend, and I think Luffy's just I don't know if I see it as a title so much, more as just Luffy encapsulates what Joy Boy represents.
Yeah, and I think there has to be something about Luffy's overall dream that matches Joy Boy's that hasn't been recognized before. Like Rogers was the same, but like it's not come to fruition yet. Like it's there's something about it that matters, and I just don't know what it is. Or it's completely selfish. That's the other way it could go. It could be completely selfish.
On a slightly different topic, you all have probably heard Emu backwards is Umi. Umi means sea. What are your guys' thoughts on Emu having a water devil fruit?
I like the idea a lot because I just thought, I'm gonna be honest, I just thought about it in this context as well, because my original concept for what Emu could have for a devil fruit was always like a light fruit, not like a Chizuru light fruit, but like a holy light fruit type thing, right? Because celestial dragons, they're all like in Morj, it's meant to be very heavenly, greater than you. And if Emu is the other like main antagonist outside Blackbeard, who's darkness, that could be really interesting, because it's like the light which erases everything and the darkness that consumes everything. A cool way to show the order, the destruction of order and the destruction of like anarchy, and how they're like opposing but still the same thing in the end, right? But I never really thought about it like this until like I said literally seconds ago. But water obviously also has like holy things, like purifying, like the flood theory, which is a massive thing. Noah, Noah's Ark, floods, and I don't know. If it is a water thing, that would also be super sick because it negates devil fruits, which is obviously super broken and fitting for the leader of the world. The water can control where people go and where they can't go, and like I said, the holy water type thing. I don't know. I think it's a really interesting idea. I don't know how it would work necessarily, especially with the idea of the like the mother sea rejecting devil fruits. It would be kind of strange if there was a water devil fruit, but if there is, that would be really cool in my opinion.
I'd imagine Emu having a water devil fruit would just get clapped by someone like Jinbei.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like water bending it back and using like some avatar stuff.
I think I liked the theory more before we saw the Leloucia event, because now it's like, is that part of Emu's devil fruit, or is that some kind of like, what is that, right? Like, is that technology that Vegapunk or the Ancient Kingdom had or something? Like, what is that? So if that's not a devil fruit, then maybe. But if not, then it's a little bit tougher since we don't know what that power was.
It could be Uranus, maybe, but like I said, it might be like a holy light type thing. Who knows? I see some people in the chat saying like Jesus, and someone even said like blood bending, and like yeah, it does sound like super religious and all that, but like it literally is the celestial dragons who are like greater than everyone. It's like it's in your face symbolism of religion, like off everywhere. Like the three of them, you literally said like Hanuman and like Elbaf's gonna have Norse stuff and Alabasta has Egyptian stuff. Like religion and mythology is everywhere in One 100%. Piece. So.
What do you guys think about Loki?
Probably the big bad of Elbaf.
Yeah.
He has to be so intrigued, but also like I don't know where to put him, because I feel like Elbaf's gonna be like the battle royale, like the start, the beginning of the end type thing. That's why I think so many characters are just gonna show up. Like Kid is already showing up. Like there's a huge theory Shanks is on Elbaf, so he might show up. If Elbaf is somehow connected to the Sky Islands because the massive tree, you know, that could happen. Big Mom and Kaido might show up. Like there's so much potential for people to show up in Elbaf that I'm like, I don't know where Loki could fit in. Besides fighting Usopp, I do think them fighting would be absolutely amazing. But I don't know if he's going to be the big bad necessarily, you know?
I feel like the way he was hinted and kind of portrayed, it just gives me vibes of the big bad. You hear about Kaido and all this, always such a ruler, so strong, whatever. Although they technically didn't say Loki was strong, but it kind of gives me the same vibes. But I do like what you said about Usopp. You guys, you could look into Loki in, I believe, Norse mythology. He was known as like a trickster and a schemer. Like that just screams Usopp.
Yeah, and my big Usopp Loki, I guess, agenda is that Loki is going to be a giant, obviously, but he's not like a true giant. He's going to be like sort of the trickster. He's not brave. He's like a deceiver, a liar, which is just like Usopp, right? But the thing that's going to make Usopp like not change, but like kind of realize that to himself that he is brave, because I personally think Usopp is pretty brave throughout the series, you know? Like especially like Water 7 Eni's lobby, he's literally like, Lucci, come kill me right now. Like that's one of the bravest things I've ever seen in One Piece, in my opinion. He's like putting his life on the line for nothing. He's just giving it up if Luffy doesn't do anything. But the thing that really like cements the thing for me with Usopp is like, say Mjolnir is on Elbaf, right? Mjolnir is obviously the weapon of Thor, who's the brother of Loki, and they've had clashes in mythology countless times. And obviously in pop culture, Thor and Loki, like the Avengers, Marvel, and all that. So I feel like if Usopp gets the hammer, he'll only be able to get the hammer by sort of portraying the bravery and the actual inherent natures of what makes the Elbaf people so great, while Loki is sort of manipulating them like a trickster. I think it would be pretty cool.
I think that'd be cool, especially because like Usopp has that big hammer in Alabasta, and like he had that joke that this like massively heavy hammer, and that he's like doing something really strong, but he's actually not. So I think it'd be really cool if he's like chosen by an unliftable hammer for his bravery. I think that'd be a really great moment, and I think it would solidify his dream without him having to die.
Definitely. And I think another really great thing about the battle is like it's almost like a David versus Goliath parallel at the same time, because David obviously is just a little kid with a slingshot, not like a full one. It's like a weird like thing. He spins it around and like throws a rock. I don't know if they're a slingshot, but you know what I mean, like a projectile type weapon, right? Just like Usopp, and they're fighting a giant. Now, do I think Loki and Goliath are going to be similar? Like Goliath's probably more of a brutish person, but Loki might have turned into that after being rejected by Lola. Exactly. So I think that would be really interesting to see how that pans out.
All right, let's get a few more takes in, because it is now 3:33 a.m. for the Eastern United States people. We've been going on for 3 hours. Apparently, it doesn't even feel like it. I'm getting pretty tired, but if you guys have any hot takes or anything you want to kind of close off with, that would be great.
I guess for me is with Usopp is like, Why does Usopp make Nami the greatest staff, the greatest weapons, and then he just shoots plants? You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like make yourself something like that. Like, he has the potential to do it, but I just wish he would have a better weapon or something else.
To kind of bounce off what Kev was saying, like with Thor's hammer, you said it was Mjolnir or something like that?
Mjolnir, yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like plenty of build up for that with like Usopp having like a 10,000 ton hammer or whatever. I think like that occurred like multiple times in the story even. So I'm definitely
like,
on board with that.
Alabasta, Thriller Bark, like a lot of the pre-time skip, it's kind of like a gag, you know?
Exactly. So that would be like, to me, him finding this legendary hammer and maybe that becomes a part of his arsenal, like say how Zoro has Enma. That's definitely in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, and we know, you know what we say about Usopp, right? Like his lies come true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like someone just said in the chat, God Usopp, Thor is, you know, a god. That's a great point.
Ah, okay.
All I'm gonna say is, if he does get this hammer, it has to be that level of like Sword in the Stone, like, or Mjolnir, like it has to be picked up by someone true of heart or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there has to be that moment where Usopp picks it up, doesn't think it's heavy, and drops it when somebody's like, "You can pick it up." Like there has to be that moment of Usopp just tinkering away and like someone being like, "Wait, you can lift that up."
Yeah, and it would just be funny too. Like Usopp, he has a lot of funny moments and kind of just playing around with the fact that he's weak, and then now he's like the most. I know the power scalers would hate it, but it would be. I think it would be funny. In the final saga, he comes in with a giant hand or a powerful hammer.
Yeah, I feel like Usopp and Buggy, they are like the type of characters that kind of go against the rules of power scaling.
Yeah.
I love this. It's not like it's like a thing that's been swirling around. Lots of people think like Luffy and the Cross Guild are gonna cross paths again, and I love this gag because they've never met in the story. Buggy and Usopp, they've never met throughout the entirety of the story. I want Usopp and Buggy to be completely scared out of their minds from interacting with one another.
That would be awesome.
Too perfect, because he's gonna be like, "That's Buggy the clown," and then like, "That's God Usopp." Yeah, I just think that'd be so perfect.
I never thought of it like that.
I want to see Usopp also. I mean, Elbaf. I think a lot of people think Shanks will be there. Even if it's not Elbaf, I just want to see Usopp and Yasop train, because I think Usopp, if he had like an observation hockey training or some kind of something more, because we know he has some crazy observation abilities, but I think Yasop needs to like give him a few pointers and give him some new training once they meet.
Definitely.
It seems like Yasop's the go, right? Like he's like the biggest sniper in the world, so I think he could really help him out.
Yeah,
and it doesn't even have to be deep.
I was gonna say, especially because Van Augur, the Van Augur Usopp fight is seeming very hype in my opinion. It's gonna be like some like instant transmission bullets timed like stuff. It just sounds super hype, and I'm really just excited to see how it pans out. And I think what you were saying with Yasop, like all the observation hockey stuff, I think that'd be super sick. Like sort of maybe even future sight too for Usopp. That'd be great.
Yeah, at least some type of hockey for the Straw Hats. We're not even asking for like advanced conquers, eternal destruction. Like just some basic armament would be cool. At least prep them for the final war, because like that war is just gonna be nuts.
Yeah, this is a thing. Like we've gone through so far in the post skip, kind of managing when it comes to like the less skilled Straw Hats in like combat anyway. And like there's not been this moment of like, oh, we need to step the fuck up or we're gonna die. Like Luffy's kind of umbrellaed them from harm, and like that really should probably change in final wartime. Like they can't just hide away from Luffy's like ambition. They have to step up.
Definitely. I got a question for you guys. Winston Quartero asks, are you looking forward to Blackbeard Pirates versus Straw Hat Pirates or Red Hair Pirates versus Straw Hat Pirates?
So I like that.
I gotta go towards the Blackbeard pirate side. I totally get like Luffy reuniting with Shanks. Obviously, that's been built up since literally chapter 1. But just thinking about the big thing of One Piece, which is finding the One Piece. That's not gonna happen unless Luffy fights Blackbeard. And I guess, yeah, that's technically headcanon, but to me, that would seem like the pinnacle of arguably the story.
I think
Hmm?
I think there's a lot of potential. I think I'm also on the Blackbeard side, honestly, because just the emotion of him meeting Shanks is going to be amazing. But I feel like just the unbelievable hype that Blackbeard versus Luffy has had throughout like almost the entire, like at least like 4/5 of the series, you know what I mean? There's the build up to this clash and like the opposing ideals and how they're so similar yet so different. I'm just really excited to see it all pan out. And I feel like it's just gonna look awesome with like Gear 5, which won't be the whole thing obviously because Blackbeard's probably gonna like negate the fruit somehow. But it's the hype for it is just so great. Like I don't care that much for fights in One Piece, you know. I'm not like looking forward to like the actual fight, but that one I am. I'm super excited to even see like how it looks, you know.
I'm more excited for Blackbeard versus Luffy than Shanks versus Luffy, and I don't have much interest in the rest of the crew. Like, I'll just be honest. A part of it is I'm not the biggest fan of the fights. Like, that's not why I read. And part of it is the fact that I don't see a way of Shanks's crew and Luffy's crew fighting in a way that feels tension that's real. Like it's just gonna feel a little bit like forced for me if it's an actual fight. That's why I really like that Davy back fight idea earlier, because that would to me would give a level of tension and seriousness without there being like pain levels of consequence. Like, because I just can't see Usopp and Yasop being like, okay, we best kill each other. Like that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I feel like there's the lack of tension and animosity between Luffy and Shanks makes me not as interested in them fighting more than them reuniting. But the animosity between Luffy and Blackbeard, I'm like, I want to see these two like beat each other to the ground. I'm like, this is gonna be insane, you know?
Immense, especially with the Garp situation. God knows how that ends up.
Yeah. It's just Oda is still building it up. Like the fact that we're thinking Garp could be killed by Blackbeard, like it's just like, oh, the dramatic intrigue for the fight is just so much, you know?
100%.
I'm more interested in what happens between Law, Garp, and Blackbeard than what happens between Luffy and Shanks as a battle.
Wow.
Because the outcome of Law, Garp, and Blackbeard is going to influence the rest of the story in a massive way, whereas the results of Shanks and Luffy meeting is mostly just something we already know that's happening. Like, we already know what's going to happen. Like, they're going to meet, it's going to be sweet, it's going to be slightly bittersweet. You know, cool, sorted, done.
The conclusion's
like,
more emotionally driven.
Yeah, I feel it's like what Jay was saying earlier about like what the One Piece actually is. Like, there are some parts of the story that are so definite in terms of like they're going to happen that my interest level for them is on the back burner.
You don't want to get like too excited, do you think? Or are you just like, you know it'll happen, so it's like...
Yeah, it's like, I know it's happening, like, at some point they'll meet. It will be cool. The end. Like, whereas when it comes to Law, Garp, and Blackbeard, I have no idea how that's going down.
I think... Oh, okay, wait.
Just so that you guys know, real quick, Preach's Wi-Fi crashed, just so everyone knows.
Okay. I did want to... This is like an out-of-series connection, so not everyone might understand, but you're literally wearing a JoJo shirt. So I gotta ask, what part are you on?
You are going to hate me. I shouldn't even answer this question.
Oh man.
I am starting it soon.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was gonna make a reference to it, but I don't want to if it's gonna spoil, because it's one of the best fights, and I'm like, I'm not spoiling that. Let's spoil that.
You've not started?
No, because it was just given to me. I'm like, okay, sure. I just thought it was like I kind of knew it was JoJo because people would tell me, but I was like, it's just a shirt, but maybe I should wear it on stream.
Well, it's a fire series. Would not recommend binging it since the new part comes out in like a month, and you probably wouldn't be able to sleep. But it's good.
Would you recommend watching or reading though?
Watching for sure. The animation is incredible. The music is amazing. The music is so good, and so much. I don't want to just ramble about this right now.
Pacing is sorted out for part 1.
Yeah. I'm not gonna ramble about this, or I'm gonna go crazy. But I was gonna just make the analogy, because in part 5 there's a fight between two characters, and neither of them are the protagonist of the story or the main villain of the story. It's a fight where you have no idea what's gonna happen. And chat, please do not spoil this. But the whole idea is like characters you don't know, and the fate of any of them. And to be fair, Blackbeard is the main villain, right? So we think Blackbeard might win, right? But like just the idea that like Blackbeard versus Law, these characters that are so built up, yet they're not the protagonist. It makes you wonder. Law could win, but Law could lose, and it's really, really interesting. You know, the stakes I feel like are so high because we're not involved. You know,
my absolute belief is that the warp fruit comes into play. Garp shows up, Blackbeard's not there. He gets to Kobe, and then Blackbeard shows up.
Oh,
he's warped there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I feel like that's how all the characters were on Whole Cake Island, and then immediately back into the Law cover story. Well, Law in the present time chapter and cover story combined. Like I feel like that is so cool and it also, this is kind of like an agenda thing I have with Blackbeard, and I've started just pushing it more and more. Especially the warp fruit is like pushing it, I think, at critical mass right now. But the idea is like Blackbeard's crew does not care at all about each other. They're just kind of like there for the prize and not for the journey, right? And they're not attached to each other. Like say like, remember when Burgess went to like Baltigo and found the place of the Revolutionary Army? They didn't care about how he was. They were like, oh, I thought you were dead. You know, that's not something you respond to for someone you care about. Mm-hmm. And the idea of the warped fruit really emphasizes they don't even need to go on the journey. They just need to get to the thing they need to get to and then leave. While Luffy's entire thing is like, oh, I love the journey. I love the adventure. And I think the warp fruit just makes it even better, because it's like, oh, not only do we all have to not be with each other, but I could just send you here, you here, you here. It's like Blackbeard is playing like chess or something. It's crazy. Oh, man.
It also serves a good narrative purpose.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good analogy as well. Like, Blackbeard is playing chess, and Luffy isn't even aware there's a game.
Yeah, he's playing like Snakes and Ladders or something. Like, I don't know.
And I think it's a really interesting like battle of ideals that's going to take place, because it is this meticulous planner who has been, you know, waiting all this time to make his move. Like, he was on Whitebeard's ship for 40 years?
Yeah.
Before he did anything, and he was there from childhood. And like Ace even makes a comment about his age and is like, you're a lot older than me, why don't you do it? And I just feel like it's that battle between, do you go for something with your spirit and your will and your intuition, or do you meticulously plan until you see the cards align in the way that makes sense? Like, it's such an because they're so dichotomous, and like every interaction they have is just so interesting to me.
I think this is kind of like meta, but I feel like you can kind of relate it to Oda himself, because like, for example, a lot of people think Oda foreshadows like everything, and it does get kind of obnoxious when people say stuff like, "Oh my God, he's planned this for so long. It's crazy, right? Oh, he's such a genius." And like that's basically what Blackbeard is throughout the entirety of One Piece. Blackbeard is the planner character, but he's not really. He's a master of improvisation because things just happen to go his way, and it's just like Oda. While Luffy's just on his merry way, and things just like happen to him. Blackbeard is like the manipulator, but things just happen to go right, you know? And that's why he's so determined in like fate is real. And it's not like luck, it's just like fate. It's so fascinating. I love their like ways of thinking with each other too.
Yeah, and like going off that a bit, I think Blackbeard does plan to a degree because like in Marineford, they're like, is this even gonna work? And he's like, I don't know. So like I think he does have some ideas like of what he wants to do. But I think you're right, like a lot of it is just his complete tenacity. Like his absolute desire to succeed. And like absolutely no shame in doing so.
And they even went as far as to say, like, are we going to split up if this doesn't work? Like, they clearly don't care about each other.
Perfect. No. I was literally going to slide that right in right there. If I could, I don't know if this like shameless pluggy.
It's all good, bro.
Like
go ahead.
Okay, I had a video where I kind of talk about it. And the premise is so crazy. Because the whole premise is that Roger had like Gear 5 foreshadowing when he laughed and found the One Piece and everything. But like there is nothing else in the video relating to that. It's just like that's the intro, and then we find out about like crews and how Luffy's crew is for the journey, Blackbeard's for the cries, blah blah blah. I like the video a lot, and if people wanted some nice, cool Blackbeard analysis, watch that. But the main thing I want to push with that is again like the whole destination or the prize type stuff. I just feel like it really is like so crazy because people might say like I literally even said Whiskey Peak is trash, but Blackbeard might not even want a Whiskey Peak. Blackbeard just wants to get right to Marineford. Blackbeard wants to get right to Wano, you know. But we need our Whiskey Peaks and our little gardens to get to arcs like Alabasta, where these really powerful moments all come together, and it makes the journey feel so much more. And like what Jay was saying earlier, you know, he doesn't even care what the One Piece is. And I'm kind of in the same boat, honestly. I hope it's something, but like, do I care if it's that? Not really. I'm here for the characters and like the world and like everything. And I don't want to just get to the end because getting to the end means it's over, you know?
Yeah, like you need those. Another way you could even put it, you need an impel down to make up Marineford, right?
Exactly. It's all about like the build up. And the payoff, like, why do you think Oda does all these super long, like Lola's Vivre card, the Thematic box, like all these crazy long build-ups, and then they all like the Chekhov's guns, like all hit at one time. It's just great.
All right. Any last things before we head out?
The One Piece is real.
True.
That's it.
Doflamingo had hockey booty cheeks. I guess that's another.
And Pika and Virgo. Maybe even Prototype Virgo as well.
If you guys believe in the agenda, hashtag hockey cheeks.
Hockey cheeks.
But
only the cheeks.
Yeah. Unfortunately, our boy Preach, his Wi-Fi crashed. I think we're gonna call it a stream here and a night here, but very nice talking even more to you, you, Kev, Sage, everyone that like left, Jay, Preach lagging out, everybody. Lots of fun. Hopefully we can do this again.
Good. It was really like being a part of the Reverie this year. I literally like when I got asked to be in the call, I like ventilated slightly. But you know, I think this is a sign of like the One Piece community is getting like, we're getting to the craziness, you know, like Oda said, it's going to be the battle royale and things are just going to keep crescendoing from here. And I can't wait to be a part of this community like throughout the rest of the year and just see how much crazier this all goes. So I was super happy to be invited and talk to you all.
Well deserved.
Yeah, big same. It's been really good. I'm really glad that we had one a bit earlier. I think it'd be really cool because I think from here, a lot of people that have like-mindedness can like talk a bit more, and the doors are opening, and it's all really good stuff. So it should be good.
All right, just again, thank you everybody for tuning into the official Reverie and this little after party. That's all, folks. I wish everyone here watching the stream and everyone with me, obviously, a great night, morning, day, wherever you are. Lots of fun, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Have a good one, everyone.